All right. Get the mic set up here. What is going on, everybody? Hello, hello. I feel like I'm running behind on everything today. Literally everything. Bam. There we go. All right. Hello, hello. Waiting for everyone to hop on over from the true crime or from the premiere to the true crime talk show. And I want to give a shout out to CR becoming a YouTube member. That is awesome. And I didn't forget, which is awesome. I was just calling Malia to see if how close she is to being here. So yeah, she'll be here any minute. But yeah, welcome everybody. We'll do the intro real quick and then we'll dive into it. So, welcome to the True Crime Talk Show, brought to you by Thought Riot Podcast. My name is Brendan. I almost forgot my name there for a second. And you can find us on every podcast platform, Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon, and you can find us under Thought Riot, the True Crime and Criminal Culture Podcast, or the True Crime Talk Show. Yeah. CH. That was funny. I had to put that in there because you could see Malia was frustrated. But as always lately, I want to give a shout out to this subreddit / Bryan Kohberger Moscow. They've been awesome and they are awesome. And we've been posting, the breakdown to some of our live streams and videos on there. Tonight, we're going to be going over the evidence, the crime scene was contaminated. And it should be good. I mean, we're going to go through some of the new court documents that got released. We're going to continue the evidence of the contamination, go through some of the pictures of the evidence of the doors being open, pull up some of the details around proof that shows that having those doors open, the front door and the back door, in that way, the only thing I can hope, you guys, is I hope that the bedroom doors were shut. I don't think they were, but I hope that they were, because just having that front door and back door open can contaminate the crime scene. And I guess I should back up a little bit in case somebody's watching this on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, Google, and you didn't watch the premiere. The premiere was a breakdown of the Idaho 4 house, so 1122, and the crime scene being contaminated. We found some evidence into that contamination. We did a video surrounding the 113 pieces of evidence, physical evidence, and based on statistical averages, that was extremely low, extremely low. So we wanted to dive into why that could have been. And I think we found some good evidence as to why. And huge shout out to Michael. Let me find that. Where'd it go? Okay. Yeah, huge shout out to Michael gifting 5 Thought Riot podcast memberships. Michael is the king of the chat. Let me hop over here to emotes. Bam, bam, bam. Yeah, that emote was made for Michael because he's the king of the chat. Someone asked about my stomach. It's still bothering me, but but, it's okay, it's okay. It's not as bad today as it was yesterday. Yesterday was bad. I mean, I was like I was dying while we were on stream. Okay, Malia's almost here. Yeah, I was literally sitting here last night like, "Oh, I just wanted to curl up into a ball," because the cramping was so bad. Um, okay, now we're good. Picking up background. Yeah, too many fruit snacks or something. But, yeah, going back into the topic real quick, for those of you that watch us on the True Crime Talk Show and didn't watch the premiere, uh, there's multiple very easily verifiable pictures out there that prove contamination. So, where we got our case information from is, there is this, I think she's a Fed. I'm pretty sure she's a federal agent, and she is one of 4 people in the entire world that excuse me, that are part of, what she does, or has the same kind of classification and or trainings into what she has, and her focus and expertise is on, controlling crime scene and gathering evidence. So we went through what her 10 most important things pieces are for controlling that crime scene, managing that crime scene, and and making sure that it's not contaminated. And it just in pictures alone, just photo evidence alone, we were able to prove that that there was crime scene contamination. All right, I'm posting email real quick here. All right. Honestly, sometimes it takes us a couple days to get back in email. We usually get back to comments and social media quicker than we do email, but we do go through the email and we get back to people. It just takes a couple days. Yeah, I'll pull up the document too so you guys can see who I'm talking about with that lady cop. Let me see here. There we go. But there were multiple things that she suggested that wasn't being done on scene there, right? And we can do the quick rundown. We can do the brief rundown of them. Let me pop up my notes here so I make sure I get it down. So, the crime scene tape. So, what she says is bigger is better. In reference to that, she's talking about whenever you have a crime scene, you want to overextend the crime scene tape, not minimize that crime scene tape. Like, an example of that in this specific situation is the crime scene tape was initially wrapped directly around the house. They tied it to a ladder on the side that you enter up through the back, and then it's wrapped around the front. I don't know if it's tied to something on the other side, but it comes all the way back around and wraps onto that same ladder. That's too small. I feel like, I mean, this is just me being judgmental. I'm going to be honest with you guys, but I feel like a cop should have been on scene and been able to, after finding out what happened to the 4 victims on site there, been able to know that, hey, we shouldn't just be wrapping the house because somebody entered this house somehow. We don't know if it's the front, we don't know if it's the back, we don't know if it's the sides. So let's just wrap this whole dang thing, you know? I and once they realized that somewhere along the way, they figured it out because they did block off the street. They did that right. The street was blocked off like it should have been. But that was number one. Number two, and this is a big one, is for whatever reason, you guys, the entire day they left the doors open. I can only assume that they left the doors open and another window on top and another window. Um, because of how hot it was in there. I don't know if you guys have heard this. This is just gossip. I don't have a confirmation of that, but there's been a lot of commentary out there where people have said that for whatever reason they kept that house at like 80 degrees. Uh I don't know if that's because it has poor insulation. I don't know what the reason is, but people have said that house was super hot. So all the doors were open and a couple windows, and that is awful for evidence. Like absolutely horrible. So there, and here's an example. So there was a crime where they found the victim in a car, okay? And whoever ended that victim knew what they were doing and kept the and cracked all the windows, all the windows, and then threw the keys away from the car. And, I can only I mean, maybe it's a coincidence. I would assume they did that on purpose because all 4 windows were down. But, because of that, they couldn't get fingerprints, they couldn't get DNA, they couldn't get anything because it was in Seattle and the moisture in the air just ruined all the evidence inside there. And that victim had only been gone for like 12 or 14 hours or something like that. So if you would have showed me before I did this research, if you would have showed me these pictures and said, "Hey, Brendan, where's the mistake here for crime scene contamination?" I wouldn't have been able to point it out to you. I would have had no idea whatsoever, none. I wouldn't have been able to say it's definitely these doors left open. But after reading this and doing research into this, it's definitely a problem, and I'm shocked that it happened. And then the other evidence we have on site is not there is no confirmation to it. So I can only assume based on how I can only assume based on how other Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, thank you for sending that. I will absolutely check that out. It's just a rundown of crime scene investigation, a guide for law enforcement. That's incredible. Thank you. Um, I can only assume, right? So, one thing that law enforcement always is fighting against, you guys, and I am pro law enforcement, but I always feel like I need to, mansplain or clarify what I'm saying when I'm talking about law enforcement because I'm pro law enforcement does not mean that I'm willing to blindly believe everything that law enforcement says. Pro law enforcement, in my definition, is that I will go out of my way to support our boys in blue. I would call them if I have a problem. I would support them. I would do whatever I can to help them. Now, that does not mean that I'm not going to hold them accountable because I support them. I am more likely to hold them accountable. I am more likely to be loud when there's misconduct and corruption. That's because of all the good officers out there don't deserve to be held responsible and judged based on all these bad officers' jobs. In my opinion, that's just not fair. That's not okay. There are a ton of amazing officers out there. And for the most part, you guys saw that survey that we posted, I think last week, that was a general consensus of people who believe. I think it was asked where they most likely believe there's corruption in the US. And 40 I think it was 48% of people who took that survey said it was police. There wasn't any higher institution. So almost half of the US, based on those statistics, believe that police are corrupt. So if I was a good cop out there, you guys, I would probably be going to work every day depressed. You know what I mean? That's so not fair for all those cops out there that go out of their way to take care of their community, put in the work hard, and serve the public, you know? So I personally think that being pro police means you go out of your way to hold them accountable. You go out of your way to hold them accountable. But you gotta be fair. You gotta be honest, you gotta be open, and, you can hold people accountable in a respectful manner too at the same time, you know? Gosh, where's Malia? Make sure she's okay. Let me text her real quick. Yeah, Eli, I I think that depending on, and I'm not gonna get into politics. I refuse to do it, but my response to that is going to be it's gonna feel like a political response, but, um this question here, you guys. So, Eli says, personally, I think politics would be up there. I think based on your demographics, you would probably think that. And I know that's a political answer. I get it, and I don't want to dive into opinions on politics and left leaning, right. I don't want to dig into any of that, but that's the only deduction that I can make is that could have something to do with it too, you know what I mean? But I don't know for sure. I'm not sure. Um, and what's up, Art of Deduction? Hello, hello, and welcome. Malia's finally here, taking her sweet time. And but yeah, on that rant, I totally lost where I was, but I wanna be clear though, because lately I feel like over the past 3 weeks, we've given police a hard time. So, like, we've dug into police and specifically highlighted areas where police are making mistakes here, and it looks awful on Moscow PD. It looks awful on anybody involved in this case, and then we have this video where we're straight up and attacking the investigation, like, that's not going over my head. I understand that, you guys, but look, being pro police doesn't mean that we're going to pretend that things aren't being done correct. It actually means love is accountability. You got to make sure that these institutions that you care about are being managed and handled the right way so they don't get a bad rap. Hey, Lucia. I'm feeling better from yesterday, but I'm not feeling good yet. So, um, yeah, yeah. Yesterday was tough. Yesterday was really tough. Mm.
And I have no voice, so.
But yeah, so we were just going over the different we were going over the different investigation topics of why I believe um the crime scene was tainted, that the crime scene was contaminated. And so far I think I've only got to 2 because I was about to get into the topics that I'm making assumptions on based on the PCA and some of those details. Open doors, and then number 3 is knife sheath per PCA.
Thank you, guys.
And
I'm gonna try
And
not to talk like a ton.
yeah.
I'll just talk when it matters.
Well, I gotta go to the bathroom, so you gotta talk. You gotta welcome everybody. Hey, no, we haven't moved studios. We have one studio, and it currently has 3 different backgrounds. And hopefully, if I feel better, I would really like to change it up and change the background um to our pre-recorded topics. So we just recently bought some awesome like talk show type chairs and like what you would see on daytime TV. And what we want to do is do a brick background with those chairs to be in a more comfortable setting for the Thought Riot podcast. Um, so yeah, but I'm gonna use the restroom real quick. I'll be right back, guys. And here's the topics if you want to go into that, or the new court documents too. We need to get into that.
Do you have them pulled up, or should I pull them up?
You can pull them up. I would wait because I haven't read them yet.
Okay, I wasn't gonna read them. I was just gonna pull them up. Or maybe I'm not gonna pull them up. And thank you guys. Thank you guys. Did Brendan do a poll? All right. Oh, I just need special blessed healing water. Okay. I'm just losing it, I guess, because I'm getting sick. I don't even feel sick. Um, this just happens sometimes right before I'm about to get sick. But I don't feel bad. I actually felt pretty good today, besides losing my voice. This has happened probably the past 5 times I've gotten sick. I lost my voice first, and then I got sick, and then everything was better. It's really weird. If I talk quietly, it's not so bad. Can you guys hear me if I talk really quietly? You won't be able to hear me over Brendan, though. Yeah, that's what I need. I need some tea. I might go make some here in a second. Yeah, my throat isn't really sore, though. It's literally just my voice. Does apple cider vinegar and warm water work for a voice? Yeah, it's not painful, though. I swear it's not. I literally just put in a cough drop to try to clear up my voice a little bit. Ginger. Mhm. Gosh. I don't know if we have any ginger tea here, but I'm pretty sure I got some that I can drink later. Have you guys read the new court filings yet? They make a drink at Starbucks called a medicine ball. It is really good for the throat. No way, I didn't know that. Yeah, things are going around. Isn't that weird how that works? All of us just start passing viruses around. You guys probably got me sick. Or the virus I have went through you at one time, which is even trippier. Okay, court documents. I haven't even read them yet. Was there anything interesting in them? Whiskey is the strongest form of an ellagic acid. It sounds like we're having a serious heart-to-heart talk. I dig it. Well, hopefully you like being chill with me for a minute because I can't talk 50 miles an hour like you right now.
Yeah. People either have the rant or they don't.
I can't. Or unless everyone wants to hear my voice crack.
No, I mean, I wouldn't call you a ranter though. You think before you speak in general. I don't. I don't need to. I think and speak simultaneously. They work at the same time. So that's why a lot of stuff I say, I have to correct myself. My mouth and my brain move at the same speed.
Well, Badfish Bear, you might have to come over here and heal me.
Okay, so new documents. All right, so we have 3 documents here. Order denying motion to dismiss indictment for inaccurate instructions to grand jury. Also, you guys, tell me if you're hearing popping in my mic, please, like plosives. Like if you hear that,
You turn it at a 45, remember?
yeah. No, I did, but I move when I talk. So sometimes if I watch our replay just to see how the audio was like going through it, I've caught a couple. So I just want to be aware of it because it's super annoying. Research Dr. Motto water experiment. Okay, hold on. Let me write that down real quick. Otherwise I won't remember that. Dr. Water experiment. Okay, gotcha. All right. I guess we'll just go through these one at a time. So first one being order denying motion to dismiss indictment for inaccurate instructions. What do we got here? Ooh, this one's a long one.
Yeah, so this
Okay.
is essentially a written follow-up
Okay.
to him denying the motion to dismiss from last time, which was
Gotcha. Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember now. So, when he had the court hearing, that's what he said is he's denying it. So just to recap for everyone, Judge said he's denying it, but he's denying it, and he appreciated the defense's attempt and angle for attacking this. However, he's going to submit this document at a later time.
Mhm.
That's that one, right?
Yep.
Okay. So I'll just read a few key details here. The decision addresses defendant's motion to dismiss indictment for inaccurate instructions to the grand jury. The question of law posed to the court whether the standard of proof, whether the standard of proof for a grand jury to justify an indictment is probable cause or beyond a reasonable doubt based on history, case law, and Idaho criminal rules, specifically Rule 668 ICR. The standard of proof for grand jury to indict is probable cause, therefore the motion is denied. Okay, so procedural background. I don't think we need the procedural background. That was the procedure analysis. Kohberger claims the standard of proof for a grand jury to return an indictment is beyond a reasonable doubt, and because the grand jury in this case was instructed that the standard of proof was probable cause and found there was probable cause to return an indictment, Kohberger argues that the indictment must be dismissed. The state disputes Kohberger's argument and asserts that the probable cause for an indictment is settled law in Idaho, which I hate settled law. There is no dispute that in this case, the standard applied by the grand jury to justify the indictment was probable cause. Kohberger first relies on the Idaho Constitution and the plain language of the statute for his argument. Article 1, Section 8 of the Idaho Constitution in part states that no person shall be held to answer for any felony or criminal offense of any grade unless on presentment or indictment of a grand jury or on information of the public prosecutor. After a commitment by a magistrate, the language obviously does not define the standard of proof for the grand jury, but Kohberger claims the language of Idaho Code Section 19-1107 does. Here's the entire statute. I'm not going to read that entire statute, you guys, unless you really want me to.
Wait, go back up. Wasn't it just like a short little thing?
Oh, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
okay, yeah. The grand jury ought to find an indictment when all the evidence before them taken together, if unexplained or uncontradicted, would, in their judgment, warrant a conviction by trial.
What?
Jury.
That's so stupid, though, because a defense team can't go in there and give, like, they can't contradict it.
Well,
how is it going to be contradicted without another side to contradict it?
No, I agree with you. And I think there's another important point right here that says when all the evidence before them taken together. Okay, so the grand jury asked for more evidence. So are they referring to all evidence as it pertains to Bryan Kohberger? Or are they referring to all evidence as pertains to the entire case? That would be my argument. What does all mean? You can't use vague terminology like all. What does all mean?
What does all mean? But also, I mean, if you guys watched our videos on the grand jury, you know how we feel about them. We don't think they should be around anymore. They're not any good. You can indict a ham sandwich. If the evidence is good enough, it should stand up to a preliminary hearing.
Hey, Heather. Glad you made it.
Hey, sorry, my voice. I'm not feeling sick or anything, but my voice is kind of messed up because I'm getting sick.
Okay, so I guess I will read this. Again, the statutory language does not state that the standard of proof is beyond a reasonable doubt, the legal standard of proof for a criminal jury trial. However, Kohberger asserts that the warrant conviction means that to find an indictment, a grand jury must find the accused guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. First of all, the word warrant carries many definitions. For example, the plain language of warrant means justification for an action, grounds, the American Heritage Dictionary. Also, others are consistent. That's so shady, kind of. Because definitions evolve, so I don't want to get into that. Justification for an action or a belief grounds something that provides assurance or confirmation, a guarantee of proof. To provide adequate grounds for justify, synonym of justify. To demonstrate sufficient legal reason for an action taken, synonym of warrant. Okay. Black's Law Dictionary also defines warrant to justify. The conduct warrants a presumption of negligence. Warrant, Black Law. These definitions have not significantly changed for over 100 years. Thus, the plain language of the word warrant easily means that After hearing the evidence, a grand jury would, in their judgment, be justified to send the accused to trial by a trial jury. Kohberger seems to miss this additional language of the statute by a trial jury. The additional language provides the broader context of warrant a conviction by a trial jury, not a grand jury. One definition of probable cause is a reasonable ground for belief in the existence of facts warranting the proceeds complained of. This is precisely what grand juries are charged to determine. I mean, they are now. The grand jury is not a trial jury. Its function is to screen whether or not there is sufficient evidence to proceed to trial. The grand jury is baked into our United States Constitution, Amendment 5. No person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on a presentment or indictment of a grand jury. That's kind of shady. They include that they include the grand jury, United States Constitution Amendment 5, because they're mixing these definitions. So when the grand jury was created, based on our video that we did, that grand jury was there to make sure that defendants were being treated fairly. Like, it's literally there for the defendant, not the prosecution.
Well, it's there for both.
I mean, it is there for both, but it impacts the defendant, and obviously, but in the beginning of this document, he says that the current working law is this, but then supports that argument with the original U.S. Constitution definition of what a grand jury is. Do you get where I'm going with that? So the working law is an ever-changing, ever-evolving law. Every time a judge makes a new ruling, that ruling goes into a record of history of law, okay? So, gosh, I wish I had the definition of this. Our legal system is called something specific, you guys. I wish I knew, but it's always evolving, it's always changing, and it's always moving. And every single time a judge makes a ruling, it changes that law.
It sets precedents.
It sets precedents, absolutely. So it's kind of shady because the defense brought this forward using the original definition of the grand jury and saying, hey, this is the original definition of the grand jury, and that grand jury was created in this manner to do this thing, okay, without getting into the definitions of what that thing is and what the manner is. And Judge says, well, hey, that's something that you need to take up with the state, because that is not how our law functions anymore. That is not what we're using currently, and this is why. But then when he creates his response, he uses the original definition of a grand jury from the United States Constitution. I don't know. It just, law is so shady.
And I wanted to say, yes, we know, CH, that this isn't about the contents of the evidence. Yeah, this is what it's about. But we were just mentioning that in that statue that he was talking about, when you just say all evidence, it could be more subjective than just saying all evidence.
Correct. Yep. So yeah, I was just using that because that was a major point of contention within the grand jury, was that the grand jury asked for more evidence, and by that definition right there, they should have been able to get more evidence, or at least that's what I would have argued.
They should have been able to have it all.
Yeah, all evidence, not Kohberger evidence, but literally all evidence. Okay, so we have the definition of the grand jury in Article 1, Section 8, and the procedure of the grand jury have evolved over the years. Yes. I would suggest you watch our grand jury video, you guys, if you want to see the evolution of the grand jury, to where now the grand jury is no longer there really to support the defendant. It is there as a tool for the prosecution, due to the fact that the rulings change every time a judge makes a ruling. It has slowly, over time, turned into a tool for the prosecution to get around situations where they don't have enough evidence. So shady.
Well, it's like the laziest way for them to get an indictment.
Yep. Yep. And then this is what I was talking about with like workable or the current legal precedents where they just cite case files.
Yeah, that's like every
Yeah.
document.
Yeah, it's super shady. And honestly, it's
That's how all of them do it. What do you mean?
yeah, and overall, I think our legal system has flaws, major
You
flaws.
think them citing cases makes it you think that's a flaw?
Yes, because that makes our legal system subjective.
It should be subjective.
No, it should
Evidence
not.
evidence
Evidence is objective.
evidence should be objective, but as far as making decisions in particular cases, I think that there should be a certain amount of
See, I
subjectivity.
don't agree. I think that I understand why people feel like that, but I think that's the problem in our justice system is that we aren't focused on the objectivity of the evidence. See, we should be looking at our legal system and or courts to cause our evidence to guide our decision. When we're being subjective, focusing on the person and or rulings of the past, then we lose the objectivity of the evidence. And in my opinion, I think that our justice system should be focused on the evidence at all times. It should be evidence led and evidence focused. And that evidence needs to be looked at only objectively to come to the conclusion of, is this person guilty or not?
Yeah. I mean, I see what you're saying. I just think that's really hard to
No
accomplish.
way. The way that we do law now is so much harder. The way that we do law now, if you're a lawyer,
I mean,
you have to have every major case that's ever happened, ever in the history of America to be able to go back and support your argument with, to build a subjective argument with case studies that support your argument. That amount of knowledge, like, I think I love law, okay? Even though I think it's shady, I like it. But it because my memory is so bad, do I think I would be able to be like a successful lawyer without being able to do all my research beforehand? Would I ever be able to like come off the fly with memories of past cases? Absolutely not. I just cannot remember things like that. And I think the best lawyers are probably the ones with the best memories because of that. So, and here's an example, okay? So, let's say I was going to court, okay? And I'm just going to give us a stupid outline. Let's say I was a lawyer and my defendant stole a pack of gum, and I believe and I wanted to place the argument that the cops set him up. So then one of the pieces of evidence, the key pieces of evidence was video footage, right? And the prosecution is arguing that they need to protect the owner of that video footage, that security footage that they have, because they don't want their name out there, whatever. Then I'm going to bring my subjective argument to the case and say, that doesn't apply because of this case here that shows in 1972, this judge ruled in favor of this defendant, proving that if you're a citizen of the USA, then you're required to bring forward your evidence and supply your name and all this information, right? Just super vague, whatever. Okay, so then let's say I wanted to make the argument that in that same scenario that my defendant wasn't actually stealing the gum, that, it was something else going on. They were in fear for their life in that store, so without thinking, they ran out for the safety of themselves and forgot to pay for it and forgot to drop it in fear or whatever, right? Then I'm gonna go find case studies that are gonna support that provides evidence that in the past, if my defendant is in a fear for their life or whatever state, that needs to be taken into consideration and gives the defendant the chance to then pay for that gum and move forward without charges. Do you know what I mean? Sorry, that's super long-winded, but I wanted to be able to give two different examples of a single situation with two completely different approaches. And what makes it hyper subjective and not fair, not just black or white, is the fact that you're just going to gather evidence from past case files that are going to support whatever argument you're giving.
Yeah, but they also have real evidence too. Like
I
they
mean,
have both.
I would call any of that real evidence.
Our law, I think, is based off precedent because they want it to be ever evolving and changing, like fit with, like, if this doesn't work, we can change it. If this doesn't work, we can change it. Like, sounds kind of smart to me.
Not me. Not me. It does not sound smart to
Your
me.
idea to me sounds like inevitably it would become oppressive. Because what would be the easy ways to change things then?
What do you mean, what would be the easy ways to change things?
Like, because you're still gonna have law.
Yeah, of course you're still gonna have law, but creating an objectively focused justice system that is supported by evidence and not, subjective case study.
Case law.
That doesn't inherently make it oppressive. The only thing that's gonna make it oppressive is if you're oppressing the people. Just because you're
That was literally word salad. That made no sense.
It makes perfect sense. You're saying that it sounds oppressive, but what is oppressive about objectively following evidence?
I didn't say it sounds oppressive. I said eventually I think it could become oppressive because with the current system, things are easily changed. Like a judge
That sounds
can
oppressive.
make a ruling. Well, you're right, but there's also more checks. Like we have like
how is there more checks?
The appeal process. We have,
you could still have an appeal though, even if you're following objectivity.
But
just saying, a law that's ever evolving and ever changing is more likely to be oppressive than a law that is.
I think that trials are based off evidence, not the lawyers aren't in there during a trial just citing case law the whole time. They're talking about evidence, they're bringing experts. They may be doing this in court filings, but I've never seen a trial where they just stand there and cite case law the whole time.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. If you have two defendants that committed a crime together and robbed a bank, all right? And one of them has $10 million sitting in the bank and the other one has $10 sitting in the bank. Who's more likely to get off?
Not the one with money.
Right. Why?
What do you mean?
Why?
Because they can pay somebody.
To do what?
To let them off.
No. Because they can pay a lawyer that is better at being subjective in the way that they present their case to then get them off.
Okay.
So going back to what your argument was, I think that our current system is more oppressive.
Yeah, but your argument had nothing to do with the way lawyers are chosen or how you get to choose a lawyer. So now you're just bringing that up out of thin air to try to solidify your argument.
No, we're comparing our current system versus a potentially different and more fair system. So I'm comparing our current system. It's not pulled up out of nowhere. I'm comparing our current system that has more oppression overall with capitalism baked into it currently. I feel like that's a relevant example.
Not when you're talking about objectivity and evidence, and then you randomly bring up
Yeah.
lawyers and how
Okay,
you can
but
pay one
they
and
did
get
the
off
same
easier.
crime. They did the same crime.
Yeah.
Okay, so the one that if it was objectively judged and managed, then they would get the same sentence,
Okay.
but they don't. And that is a subjective approach.
Yeah. It is.
That's all I was trying to get to.
Okay.
Okay, so
I don't know. I think our current system needs some help, but I don't know. I don't know about your idea.
I mean, look, to be fair,
I'm
it's
not a lawyer,
to be
so
I'm not either, but to be fair, the unknown is always scarier. All right. I'm not calling for a revolution. I don't think we should overthrow our justice system. I think that the way forward is to, yes, create small incremental change to work towards the betterment of the people. And we're already this far in. There is no way out of it. But I think in a situation where we'd be able to redo our system, then our current system needs to be thrown away because it is not fair and it's been proven not fair for multiple different reasons.
yeah, I don't think it needs to be thrown away. I just think there needs to be major adjustments. Or if you throw it away, then you can I just don't think that currently that any system we have in America is ever going to just get thrown away
Of
unless
course
there's
not.
a literal like revolution or apocalypse.
Yeah,
We just have to work with what we have and try to make it better every way we can.
absolutely. I agree because, yeah.
Yeah.
What?
So, I mean, they were denied. We
Yeah.
already knew this. So, what are the other 2 documents? That's a good point, plumbing. But it's kinda sucky that if you're broke, you have to get lucky to get a good public defender. Because some public defenders, man,
There are,
not great.
yeah, like 95% of them aren't. Yeah.
And Taylor's an anomaly.
So there are great public defenders out there, but it's probably literally 5% of them are out there because what tends to happen is when you're not a good enough lawyer, you don't get picked up by reliable, well-paying, industry-leading law firms. You know what I mean? Okay, so order taking judicial notice of case admin. In order for the court to assess the arguments of defendant's motion to dismiss indictment on grounds of error in grand jury instructions or in the alternative remand for the preliminary hearing and motion to dismiss indictment on grounds of a biased grand jury, inadmissible evidence, lack of sufficient evidence, and prosecutorial misconduct in withholding exculpatory evidence, the court needed to have access to the grand jury proceedings and evidence to accommodate the need. The state submitted a motion to take judicial notice of the grand jury record. Without objection, the court, as requested by the state, takes judicial notice under Rule 201-2 IRE of the grand jury transcripts and audio recording, the exhibits, the jury instructions, and the jury questionnaires contained in admin. The state has provided the same information to the defense. Well, that's interesting.
Wait, it said denied, right? What did that say?
Order taking judicial notice of case.
Okay, denying. Okay, there we go. So the next one is them denying it. Or the judge denying it. I was gonna say, I kinda didn't really quite understand the point of that document.
Yeah, I think it's a response to 2 different.
That was, like, the secret hearing,
Yep,
right?
yep,
That we weren't allowed to know about?
yep, yep, correct. Yeah, yeah. Alright, so on August 23rd, 2023, Kohberger filed a motion to dismiss indictment on grounds of biased grand jury, inadmissible evidence, lack of sufficient evidence, and prosecutorial misconduct in withholding exculpatory evidence. On September 14th, 2023, the state filed an objection to the defendant's second motion to dismiss indictment. On September 20th, 2023, Kohberger filed a reply to the state's objection. A hearing on the motion was held on October 26, 2023. Kohberger was represented by Ann Taylor, Jay Logston, and Alyssa Masseth. Sorry if I hacked that. The state was represented by William Thompson, Ashley Jennings, Jeff Nye, and Ingrid Beatty. This hearing was closed to the public and media cameras to protect the secrecy of the grand jury proceedings. The decision will also be sealed. However, the results of that decision are addressed in the public order for the public's benefit. Kohberger has failed to successfully challenge the indictment on grounds of juror bias, lack of sufficient admissible evidence, or prosecutorial misconduct. Kohberger was indicted by an impartial grand jury who had sufficient admissible evidence to find probable cause to believe Kohberger committed the crimes alleged by the state. Further, the state did not engage in prosecutorial misconduct in presenting their case to the jury. So this is, for the most part, is everything that we already knew. There's not much there's not much new information coming out here on these documents. It's just some of the information that we were expecting to hear about based on what we saw in court.
Mhm.
So these are just follow-ups essentially from September and October. It sounds like it
Basically.
started in October and they followed up from September into October.
Well, Judge did.
Yep, Judge did. But in my opinion, you guys, this is pretty standard. It's pretty standard of what we would expect to see from the defense. There's nothing additional here that I think, brings up any concern in the trial, whether it's defense or prosecution. This is just one of those documents that kind of keeps us at stalemate. There's not a lot moving. We knew this was going on.
Yep.
So, other than like the details in that first document, but really that doesn't have anything to do with this case in particular. It more has to do with grand juries in general and the current law,
I'm curious how much is going on behind the scenes of the case, because it feels pretty dead right now. Like, it's moving pretty slow.
I mean,
But behind the scenes, I wonder if how slow it's moving.
yeah, yeah. I mean, the defense team is in full investigation mode. Their investigators are on it. They just got access to the house and they're doing their own investigation, which is incredible. And the company that's doing it is an incredible company, an absolutely incredible company that functions nationally on a national scale. And some of the cases that they were able to prove in their favor have been some high priority cases. So
What company?
I don't have that information pulled up in front of me right now,
Oh, okay.
but yeah, maybe I'll do a video on going through that investigation company. All right, so got through the new documents. Then let's get into the continued evidence.
What is up with that hot dog?
What are you talking about? What hot dog? What hot dog? Do you guys see a hot dog? I don't see a hot dog.
I see a hot dog with teeth
What?
and mustard.
Who did this thumb?
Clearly not me.
Yeah, right. I think it would most likely be you.
I don't like hot dogs.
My eyes aren't blue. That's clearly you.
Oh, you're trying to claim that's me?
Yeah, I mean, look at it's Malia. It's a hot Malia dog. My eyes aren't blue.
My eyes aren't blue either. They're like gray, green, navy blue. I have really weird colored eyes.
Yeah. Okay. So let's get into the information here.
Jay Ray said it's probably me, y'all. Don't trip. Oh, that was such a weird laugh. It was like squeaky like a teenage boy.
All right. So one of the biggest pieces of evidence, I think, you guys, is in the National Criminal Justice Reference documents that I was pulling up, right? And this was really, really hard information to find. I didn't get a lot of information to follow up with. Normally, when I'm researching something, I'm able to find information about it and then re-verify that information, double check and re-verify that information with multiple sources. Now, I literally could only find one reliable source, one single reliable source here, talking about the average pieces of physical evidence, okay? And I think we've talked about this before, how it broke down what physical evidence totals look like and how in a single homicide, the average pieces of physical evidence are like 100 to 150 when there is a suspect. Now, when you're looking at physical evidence for a homicide that doesn't have a suspect, that expected physical evidence count almost doubles for one person.
That's
So
wild. It's a lot more.
I
than-
agree. It's super wild. And I included like the math on here, right? And this was our generous ratio.
Look at your face.
Yeah, I'm looking at the ratio. What do you mean? I knew where it was going to go. Okay, so what we would expect to see on the higher end of the scale here is when you have a homicide, and in that homicide you don't have a suspect, on average, the expected overall physical pieces of evidence is between 220 and 250 pieces of physical evidence. So I took this figure on the low end here, and I did 220 times 4 victims, right? That gives us 880 pieces of physical evidence. And that's the low end. If we're looking at the high end would be 1,000. So technically, it's actually 880 to 1,000 pieces of physical evidence is what we would expect to see based on that documentation. Now, what we actually have is 113 pieces of physical evidence. So 10%, between 10 and 20% of what we should have. That is so scary, you guys. Now, I broke it out. I broke it down even further into like the generous ratio. And the reason why I did that is because if we're being honest here, there were 2 crime scenes within the main scene, right? So you have 1 room and 2 room. So
Yeah.
maybe that changes or alters the overall amount of pieces of physical evidence we would expect to see. So even if you only take 2 crime scenes and times that by what we actually gained, you're still at 440 pieces of evidence to 500 versus 113, which that brings huge concerns, like massive concerns. And it makes me, I don't know if it makes you guys feel this way, but it makes me wonder why right away. Why?
Yeah. Why? For sure. It makes me wonder too.
There's a reason for everything. Everything. So how did they only get 113 pieces of evidence? I know that we've talked about this before. I know that we've touched on it before, and it doesn't make sense when how many different items were in that house. Like a ton of items were in that house.
I mean, it's a house full of girls, dude. Like,
It exactly.
it's a house full of
Exactly.
women with makeup and little knickknacks and decorations. Like, this ain't a frat boy house, okay? They got decorations. They got all kinds of things, you know? I just it doesn't make sense. And with like, blood splatter, just anything that looks like they should maybe take it or they're questioning if they should take it, technically they're supposed to take it.
Yeah, when in doubt, over collect. Absolutely. 100%. 100%. And there was oh, that's another thing too is
What?
I guess we can move on to that. So, um okay, going into let me find it. Hang on here. The crime scene tape, all right? So, exactly, even specks of BLO. I agree 100%. So, going into the actual crime scene management, and when we were talking about this, we were both kind of blown away with this, but the fact that one of the biggest things that that expert said was bigger is better in relation to taping off the crime scene.
Yeah.
We saw literally the opposite at this crime scene.
Yep.
The opposite. They started small and then made it bigger.
They did. They
Yeah,
literally just did around the house. Like, remember you guys,
right here.
they tied it to the ladder, so it was literally just the home, and then they started expanding it, which is really strange to do that. Yeah, I get what you're saying, Jay Ray. So she basically was saying that they're young. They probably don't have that much stuff yet. They still have like rooms at their parents' house and stuff like that. But um I mean, it does seem like they had quite a bit of stuff. I don't know about Kaylee's room, but Maddie's rooms seem to have quite a bit of stuff. I don't know what Dylan and Bethany's rooms look like. How long had they lived there? Because I think that's an important question to ask. And I know, like, I don't know how much money they had to go to college with, but I mean, when you look at a lot of the rooms of college kids that go to the University of Idaho, just from pictures I've seen, they're like really well decorated and put together,
Yeah,
like really well. But I don't know.
yeah,
I haven't actually seen their rooms. Not all of them. So
yeah. I mean, I've seen some of them in videos that were online. Now I do have one question that's off to it's a little bit of side action here.
3 months. Okay. Dylan and Bethany were there for 3 months. Okay, what's your side action?
Is
What the heck is that?
there's images of supposedly investigators searching through trash
Looking for the knife
at the trash dump.
at the trash dump?
Yeah.
Did they
Yep.
lose the knife?
I don't know. I'm not sure what that could be, but in my opinion, if the crime scene was controlled, Was it a trash pickup day or something like that? Did the crime happen and then trash was picked up? Like, what's the reason that in a crime scene that they found out the same time that it happened that they would need to go to the trash dump to search through trash?
That's crazy.
I feel like it's kind of weird too. I don't know. Did they start searching through trash under the assumption that whoever did this crime threw something away and then they're hoping to, get a Hail Mary? Because that's a Hail Mary. Like, that is literally a needle in a haystack.
Hmm. Weird.
It's really strange. Really, 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 really strange.
I don't know what to think of that. That makes me feel like they accidentally threw something away.
Agreed. I don't know. It doesn't make sense other than the fact of a mistake was made, something isn't adding up, what's going on?
What if it was the knife sheath? Wouldn't
Oh
that be
man,
so ridiculous?
that would be that would
They
be
had to go
super
retrieve it
messed up.
from the trash.
They accidentally threw it away, the knife sheath. Joking, obviously.
Yeah.
Um,
I was joking, yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I find it very interesting, and I also don't completely understand it. It doesn't make a lot of sense for me, but this is a real picture, you guys. This is an actual picture of them searching in the dump.
No, they can search the trash anytime they want. It's a crime scene. And if it's not in the curtilage of your property, meaning the area, like if you take it out to the curb, okay, it is no longer in the curtilage of your little bubble of reasonable expectation of privacy to where they're not walking up to your home. They can search anybody's trash they want as long as it's to the curb. It doesn't have to go to the dump.
Yep. Once you release it, it is officially free game.
Or do you think they were searching Bryan Kohberger's trash at the dump from his
That
apartment?
quick?
I think they knew about him very early
Well,
on.
that changes everything though.
So what day was that they were searching
I
trash at the
think it
dump?
was the 16th, or I need to pull that up. I think it was the 16th. I think it was the 16th. So 3 days after. I don't know. It's really strange though, right? Really strange. And going back to our original argument here with cordoning off the house, you guys, I don't know if you guys are making the connection here, but 113 pieces of evidence could happen because of multiple different factors. Either one, we have a criminal mastermind that was so efficient and so effective at controlling a crime scene, they literally left no evidence at all. Nothing, period. Point blank, zip, nada, zilch, nothing. Or two, the crime scene was fudged. It was messed up. It was contaminated. Mistakes were made. They didn't have any evidence because it was so contaminated. And that's why I did that poll earlier, you guys, with the intention of this video coming out. We did this poll here, right? So Idaho 4, Bryan Kohberger, do you believe the crime scene at 1122 King or Queen Road was or could have been contaminated? An overwhelmingly 79% says yes. 3% says maybe. I think it doesn't matter, typo. I think it doesn't matter because this is a frame job. 7% says no. 9% says maybe, that could be why something doesn't feel right. And 2% say other. Yeah, I agree, plumbing. I think that there is also the possibility and or potential that there could be some kind of cleaning or whatnot after. I think that's definitely always a possibility. There's people are trying to find reasons, which obviously people want answers and are trying to find reasons. And it it doesn't mean anybody's attacking the surviving roommates, the ones that have been, left alive through that night, but it is very uncommon. This is so uncommon to have a crime of this magnitude and or nature, which brings smells, sounds, all kinds of stuff to go 8 hours, right? Um, without contacting police. So, yeah, I think a lot of people want to understand why. They don't get it. It's not making a lot of sense. I'm just trying to make sense of the 113 pieces of evidence. There's a few things out there that I have a really hard time letting go. One of them is the evidence and the crime scene management on site. I have a really hard time letting that go because it doesn't make sense. Statistically, it doesn't add up. Something is going on there. When we look at it's not a little concern. It is major, you guys. And that's not a minor 20% fluctuation in national statistics. This is 10% of what the expectation is. At best, 10%. There's problems here. There's something going on. And I understand that there's this narrative that Bryan Kohberger being a criminology student was a mastermind and he was so good at this crime that he didn't leave any evidence. But in my opinion, are we sure that this isn't law enforcement trying to circumvent blame? Because really, what could be going on is that the entire crime scene was managed incorrectly. The entire crime scene was flawed from the very beginning. The entire crime scene was contaminated. I have felt like that from the very beginning. And it makes me wonder if a contaminated, messed up crime scene is the reason for a lot of these concerns that we have.
Could be.
Is it the prosecution that knows Kohberger is guilty, but knows that the crime scene was messed up and knows that there are some major holes and question marks around the police officers and investigation, and they don't want to ask and or open up questions that could force a prosecutor to then investigate the police officers, which could then get a guilty person off? You know what I mean? Going down that chain, it maybe Kohberger is guilty and they're terrified of letting him out. Or could this be a really tight small town? Like I've seen some of you guys say that already, and I feel like we see a lot of issues come out of small towns where everybody knows everybody. Everybody is everyone's friend. That's a dangerous mix when you're trying to convict somebody in this nature with a flawed crime scene and everybody knows everybody. It's too easy to approach somebody and say, "Hey, we really need to get this guy."
So, one thing I want to mention, because I saw this, and Bobby, that's a good point. I think a very basic point that is being overlooked is that
Yeah.
he was a student, not an expert. But I have to argue this with facts and that is Kohberger was going for a PhD, meaning he already had a master's, which was he was over educating himself at that point, depending on the career you wanted. Okay, if you wanted to be some kind of forensic scientist, I guess not. But most employers of criminal investigators are satisfied with a GED or high school diploma. And if you want to go work for the FBI, then they want a bachelor's. You don't even need a master's. He was going for a PhD. So he had more
Well,
education than most investigators investigating this case.
yeah, maybe he was going into a specialty though. But
Yep.
yeah, I agree with you. I think basics, he's probably way, way, way overqualified. But the fact that he was going for cloud computing, which
That was a minor, but yes.
yeah, but in order to get that minor, you first have to be trained on technology education. And that's a very, 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 very important part right there, you guys, that I've theorized, just complete theory here, okay, is a cloud forensics investigator. What?
My face. So
A
ridiculous.
cloud forensics investigator is a technology investigator, is a what's it called?
I don't know.
I'm drawing a blank right now. A technology expert is a technology expert.
You couldn't think of expert?
Well, no, that just
That just
it
fit the
fits.
bill.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it works.
But yeah, he doesn't have experience. Right. That is a difference.
Yeah,
Yeah. And that
agreed.
experience matters.
You know what's interesting is that the PhD criminology students had access to all the public and law enforcement cameras on the colleges.
They did?
Yeah. Yes. So, you know what's interesting is that if that were the case and Bryan Kohberger is a stalker, wouldn't it be easier to stalk in Washington?
Way easier.
Way easier. He had access to those cameras.
But he didn't have access to the Moscow cameras?
I would be surprised. That's a different state, different police department,
Different
everything.
different university.
Yeah, yeah. So I would be really surprised. But yeah, right, Jay Ray, absolutely. An associate's degree in cloud-based forensics, but cloud-based forensics has prerequisites. So he is a technology expert. Before you can get to cloud-based forensics, you cannot just go to college and say, I want to sign up to learn cloud-based forensics. You have to first expert yourself in technology investigations.
In Tennessee, actually, blood swabs and fingerprints are physical evidence, which is why 113 bothers us.
Yeah.
Is because that includes every single thing that they swabbed, every fingerprint they gathered, the latent shoe print, all of those things are included in the physical evidence. Absolutely 100%. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah. The only reason why we know that is because on our video, the 113 pieces of evidence that we did like 2 or 3 weeks ago, we verified that. And physical evidence, when being talked about in case files in court, the rule of thumb is if you can pick it up, it's physical evidence. So that includes all DNA tests, that includes all bodily fluids and everything like that, which is insane, you guys. This was a party house. A party house. I am so blown that I'm so blown away that we don't have 50 different profiles of no, you're right. It's not called bioevidence. It's actually called trace evidence. Bio's an even smaller category, but trace evidence and bioevidence is physical evidence.
Right.
So all of that evidence fits into physical evidence categories. So when you're looking at case documents within the court system or whatnot, when they say physical evidence, it includes everything, everything that can be picked up.
Yeah, because when they talk about it including like from 3 dumpsters, the house, and they don't have like when you read everything that's within that their evidence inventory, they list documents, they list digital evidence, and then they list physical. They don't break it down into trace or bio or anything like that, like you're saying, which you're correct, but they lump it all into just physical evidence.
Yeah, here you go. So what is physical evidence? Physical evidence is evidence that can be seen, held, or observed in a crime scene. The main types of physical evidence are trace, biological, and comparative. So all of those are physical evidence. Are fingerprints physical evidence? Fingerprints are physical evidence. Fingerprints can be used as biological touch DNA or collected as a latent fingerprint. If a fingerprint is collected for DNA, it cannot be processed as a latent fingerprint and vice versa. What are the 5 examples of physical evidence? Physical evidence can be biological, trace, or comparative. Physical examples include footsteps, fingerprints, blood, broken glass, paint chips, or an open door. What are the 5 types of Oh, that was examples. What are the 5 types of physical evidence? The main types of physical evidence are biological, trace, comparative, conditional, and latent fingerprints. Latent fingerprints and conditional are often placed under comparative evidence as they compare items or circumstances. How do you describe physical evidence? Physical evidence is evidence that can be seen, touched, or observed in a crime scene. Physical evidence can be easily contaminated on the scene during the collection and processing or over time. What is the difference between physical evidence and trace evidence? Trace evidence is a type of physical evidence. Trace evidence is physical evidence that is caused by 2 items coming in contact. Hair and paint chips are examples of trace evidence. And if you would have asked me this before I did the 113 pieces of physical evidence, I would have never known this. I had no idea. We just learned about this when we were doing that video. And I find it super interesting that, for anybody going forward, the rule of thumb is if you can pick it up, it's physical evidence.
So it sounds like the main piece of physical evidence in the Murdaugh case was the white t-shirt, but there were other forms of physical evidence. I just can't find a list.
Yeah, we
or
would
a
have to
number.
pull up the court documents. I gotta go to the bathroom.
I would have to pull those up. It's not readily available on Google. It sounds like there was more though. If they only had a bloody t-shirt, that's kind of messed up. Like whoever cops were on that crime scene, why would they have not collected more than a bloody t-shirt? That was on Alec. That's kind of not okay. Yeah, and I'm sure it can be classified slightly differently in different states, Ian. You're probably right. Yeah, but what he just read showed that bioevidence was included in physical evidence. It's all, even if it is a separate, like even if there's subcategories of physical evidence, it's still all lumped into that 113 number.
Yeah, digital isn't part of
the physical
evidence. Yeah. I meant to tell you guys too. So coming up, we will have to do things a little bit different because I ended up getting what I was waiting to find out. So I gotta go through training for the CIA.
You're so dumb.
Yeah, the CIA wants me to build social media profiles for them and get them off the ground.
Graduate, J. Ray. Just do it. Just do it.
Oh, I don't agree. My degree was the biggest waste, man.
Dude, she only has 10 credits left to go.
I mean,
Why
okay,
not?
It depends on what job you're going for, right?
Psychology.
Okay, I get it, but I'm in sales, so all they care about is if I'm good and I can prove I'm good. But for another industry, there might be minimum requirements for bachelors, and yes, in that case, absolutely. I mean, if you're that close, just knock it out of the park. You're super smart.
Yeah, you're right, CH, but I think what Brennan was saying that to do cloud, you have to have that digital forensics background.
Yep.
Like
So
you need
he's
that basis of understanding to even be able to start to comprehend cloud forensics is basically what he was saying.
Yep. So he is a technology expert. For even being in that program and or minor, the only way he would be able to do it is if he already had a baseline and understanding of that. So, but no, really, we probably won't be doing pre-recorded content as much because I really do have to go in a training program. So, and the date is classified. So, okay, getting back into what we were talking about. Bryan Kohberger being an expert on technology, right? Isn't that interesting, the fact that he had access to cameras?
That's crazy.
Super crazy. I found it wild that they're claiming he is this stalker, okay? And he could be, you guys. I want to be very clear. Remember, I don't think I've given my daily statement yet today that we are not pushing for Kohberger's innocence. We are not pushing for his guilt. We are just trying to objectively look at the information and facts as they apply in front of us to follow that and, best find out the who, what, where, why, and everything in between with this case. And I believe that objectively following that evidence will get us to the right person in the end, which is and should be, yes, Love Tina, true justice. Exactly. True justice. And I think the only way to do that is to investigate the investigators. Look at how they're coming to these conclusions and why.
Yeah.
And why.
For sure.
So, yeah. But okay, but what I was saying about Kohberger, isn't it? And a lot of these ideas, you guys, it's us think tanking, right? And I know a lot of you already know what we're doing. We get a lot of new people on here from like Spotify, Apple. Our trajectory on those podcast platforms is insane. Like it's insane how good it's doing on those international platforms. But for new people in here, I don't want them to hop on here and be like, what is this dude talking about? You know what I mean? When we're think tanking an idea, going down a rabbit hole, shooting off into outer space, into different possibilities and opinions and theories and everything like that. And we believe that in order to come to a sound conclusion, you got to be able to chew on all the information, all of it, every piece of it, even if it seems dumb. Using Delphi as an example, like that Odinist theory, does it sound ridiculous? Absolutely. It's insane to think that somebody ended two perfect, amazing young children because of beliefs of old gods. Like, what? That's ridiculous. It sounds ridiculous. My initial thought when that came out was like, yeah, okay, whatever. What a great ploy by the defense, But I had to check myself and my own personal bias and remind myself that if it's important to the suspect, it should be important to us. It should be important to investigators. It should be important to all police. It should be important to everybody because the crime was conducted on the basis of that information, whether it's true or not.
Yeah. So if the suspect loves numerology or thinks reptilians are about to take over the earth, like, and that
It's
has
important.
that belief for some reason has some involvement in this crime, it's important. Or they believe in Odinism.
Agreed. I agree. 100%. But I wonder where those cameras stopped. And I wonder how many other things did Bryan Kohberger have access to?
Yeah, see, that's what I wanna know, 'cause I was also curious if he had access to the lab at all.
Yes, I do know nothing.
And I know everything.
Yes. That is the Thought Riot podcast motto. I wonder how many different things he had access to. How many different programs?
Reptile people are about to take over the earth.
Yeah, I mean, I know they are. I'm one of them.
There you go, Ian.
I'm gonna try and find. Had access to crime lab with camera streams. Yeah, so here we
Whoa,
go.
bro. So he had access to the crime lab database, though.
So Idaho murder suspect Bryan Kohberger's grad program had access to the crime lab with camera streams, says Insider. A WSU campus insider compared Idaho murder suspect Bryan Kohberger
Emergency.
to what? Don't say emergency unless it's not.
Ian said the clip function is gone.
Oh.
He can't make clips anymore.
No way.
That's terrible, Ian.
Try reloading it.
I told you it was an emergency.
So, a WSU campus insider compared Idaho murder suspect Bryan Kohberger to a wolf in a hen house. I go back to what did he have access to? I would be shocked, you guys, if he had access to cameras in Idaho.
Yeah, that doesn't. Yeah, right. Because he didn't have access to police body cam crime lab database in Idaho. It was specifically Washington because that's where he was going to school and living.
Agreed. I don't get it. I don't understand it.
How does that matter for the Moscow crime? Like, how does that give him an advantage? How does that make him a wolf in a hen house? Like, maybe if he actually did the crime in Washington.
Where's the clip button normally at?
Right here. And I think.
There's no edit video button?
You didn't accidentally change any settings, did you?
Do you have one?
Do I have what?
A clip button?
For our own channel?
Yeah, for ours or anybody else's.
I mean, it has to be a live stream, I think, and no, I don't see one.
No, it doesn't have to be a live stream.
I don't see one.
But yeah, this is interesting, you guys. So Bryan Kohberger's doctoral program at Washington State University maintains access to crime lab database of police body cam videos as well as live streams from security cameras on and off campus. The programs are referenced on the school's public website and are used to study policing and the complex social interactions between patrol officers and people they encounter, as well as other government functions. The source, who works for the university and has direct knowledge of the department, is warning that the research tools in the wrong hands could have allowed a suspected ender to view unredacted crime scene images, potential videos of death, and even live streams of surveillance cameras with remote controls that allow the viewer to zoom in on faces. The university told Fox News Digital Friday evening that Kohberger was not part of the program. Wait,
What?
then why are they saying?
What?
Yeah, I don't know. Whoa, they make him look spooky right there.
They always edit his eyes.
I know they do. I
It's
know.
so messed up.
I
They
know.
try to make him look creepy.
I know. It's really crazy.
Like, dude, he looks how he looks. You don't gotta edit his eyes. Just
yeah.
so stupid.
Yeah.
It just makes the mainstream media look bad, in my opinion.
I don't know if people I don't know if people know that though. Not everyone, checks that
Checks what?
to see if like reasoning behind things like warmness of video, you know what I mean? All of that stuff. But I found this super interesting right here. So going back to the video, all right. Let's dig into the open doors. You guys ready to dig into the open doors? So here's my theory. It's on all content.
Yeah, what?
They're saying that they're having that issue on all content.
Yeah, it's because we have it selected to allow people to clip our content.
Yeah.
Like I just went and checked the setting.
Yeah,
So
I do.
Yeah.
Anybody can use our content.
So it has to be a YouTube issue.
Yep. So so I have a theory here, okay? And I talked about it briefly in the video. And that theory is, gosh, my stomach's hurting. That theory is that when they got on scene, these guys were so over their head. They had no idea what was going on. They didn't handle or manage the crime scene right. They didn't conduct the crime scene lockdown right. And they put that first line tape around the house. They opened up the windows and the doors and everything because it was so hot in there, because it smelled like BLOO.
Hot. It was freezing outside.
In the house, it was supposedly, based on what people say, over 80 degrees. Yeah, we've talked about this before. We looked into the comments and everything and pulled up the steam coming from the top and how it would smell. We've gone through all this. So I think that the police, never being in a situation like this before, never having to lock down a crime scene of this magnitude that would require this type of precision and expertise, I think they made a whole bunch of mistakes, right? I think that kids went in there before EMS arrived. Multiple kids went in there before EMS arrived. I think EMS came in, did what EMS does, and verified the bodies, checked the bodies, did their best to lock down the scene. Cops then arrived. You have multiple officers that are unskilled with dealing with a crime of this magnitude, going into the crime scene, looking around, seeing what's going on. Then they open up all the doors because it's 85 degrees in there, 80 degrees in there. It smells because it would, you guys, like there would be a horrible, horrible iron to the point of being able to taste it type smell. And I think that they made all these mistakes, made all these problems in this house, called ISP, who didn't end up getting there until like 4 hours later, to the point that the crime scene didn't actually start being worked until 12 hours or more after the crime. ISP came in and said, "What are you guys doing? Why do you only have the house taped off? Why do you have all the windows open and doors open, allowing the moisture air to come in here and mess up the crime scene?" That's when you see the second tape come out. That's when you see the patrol cars back out of the driveway and down the street. That's when you see the police officers actually standing out front of the scene managing it, because ISP has more experience and is conscious of reporters and news sources and everything like that.
So, for one, the paramedics did not go into the house. They were turned away. Cops got there first. EMS
What?
never stepped.
According to who?
Paramedics never stepped
According to who?
to the cops, to Chief Fry.
When?
I don't remember. I believe that was in the press conference.
Are you sure?
Yeah, because he also said when they got there, the door was open, which if the door had been left
I don't
open
think so.
by the
We'll have to pull
yes,
that up.
I know it, but yes, you can pull it up to verify.
Because in our
But
911 video, we said something different. So I just don't know where you picked up
not
that
we,
information from then till now.
not we, because you were going off of somebody's comment or whatever.
Yeah.
But no, I remember it was in one of the press conferences. I'm pretty positive where he said
I just thought that
that
if police got there, then EMS wouldn't have been called.
well, I think that they showed up like normal
Okay.
because somebody was unconscious.
Okay.
And that's standard. But when the cops went in there and saw what happened, they were like, no.
And
no.
she could totally be right, you guys. I'm not positive on this information. None of us will be able to be sure about this. There is no actual records that are out confirming this. I just thought based on there's nothing out. We don't have like an actual timeline that is signed. This is what happened.
We just have what the police said happened.
Yeah, and I just haven't seen that. So I don't believe anybody until I've seen it myself and I have information confirming it.
But if the door was left open, as implied by Chief Fry, by the perp, then there's no way it could have been that hot in there because of how cold it was outside, unless the door was left open, not by Chief Fry, or not by the perpetrator, I mean, but one of the kids that went in the home, like Hunter.
So a door can be open and the house could still be like 80 degrees. And here is an example why. I don't know where their thermostat is, but what if their thermostat is in the kitchen? What would that do if the back door is open?
You mean to like the rest of the house?
Yep, there's only one thermostat. So if the thermostat was in the kitchen and the back door was left open, that heater would be pumping
the whole time.
Pumping, making it 80, 85 degrees in there. And we've already verified this information. You just must have forgot. But in some of the first pictures, you can literally see the heat coming out of the windows. It's so hot in that house. We've dug into this already.
I don't recall digging into it at all.
Yeah, we dug into this because we were like, why would they have the heat at 80 degrees? It didn't make sense. It didn't add up. So we went and started looking at pictures, and a lot of the pictures that you see on that day, the first pictures, right, before the entire streets blocked off and everything like that, the heat is coming out of that house.
J-Ray said it's on the bottom floor, the thermostat. J-Ray, you know where the thermostat is? It's kind of funny. Yeah, I don't remember. He's saying I have heard it that it was hot, but I don't remember that.
Yeah.
We'll have to pull that back up.
Yeah, I can pull it up. It doesn't matter to what we're talking about right now. It doesn't add to the argument of the case. I'm just theorizing why they could have opened up the house, because that doesn't make sense that they opened up the house except for a lack of experience. Did they think, "Hey, the cold will keep the scene better preserved"? I don't know. But the moisture in the air ruins DNA, ruins fingerprints. What should have happened is they should have turned off the air and the heater and closed up every door and window,
Well,
and should have stayed closed unless you were going in or coming out.
because cold would preserve all of that stuff. Heat would ruin it, right?
It's not even about that based on what I was reading. Sure, if you're talking about extreme temperatures. So if you're talking about like 100 degrees or more, yes, that's bad for any crime scene. If you're talking 32 degrees or less, yes, that's bad for a crime scene. But what's more serious than that is having air that's moving in the house, especially air from the outside.
Right. Yeah.
So, that's more important than the temperature is of the house.
Okay.
So, um, I just think they got in there and started, making mistakes one after another. ISP came in and was like, "What are you guys doing? Spread that police line back. Get the cars at the end of the street and block the street. You know, you've already had the doors open for 4 hours. We're screwed now, you know?"
Yeah. Hmm.
What steam pipe, J. Ray?
I think she's just talking about the little thing that comes out of every house. It's like a vent that lets, I don't know what it does to your furnace, I'm assuming.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it was literally coming out of the windows. Out of the windows. So, it was a major mistake that they left those doors open, you guys, based on everything in this research that we conducted. Major mistake. They should have never left those doors open. They should have locked down that house. They put the entire evidence of the case at risk, and it makes me wonder if this is a more realistic explanation instead of Kohberger being a criminal mastermind genius. You know what I mean? Is could there have been evidence in there and it got corrupted, tainted, messed with to the point of not being able to use it? Was there actually bloody footprints through the house all over the place that weren't the suspects? Oh, that's a good question, Hap. Sorry. Will the temperature affect the decision on time of death? That wasn't in anything I was researching,
It
so I don't
would.
know.
It would affect
It
it.
would?
It would.
Yeah, I don't know. So I haven't seen anything.
Heat would accelerate the decomposition from what I know.
I don't think that. I
It
don't think
would.
so. I think that it's just has to do with extremes. Heat doesn't accelerate. So, I mean, the total breakdown of the body, if that's what you're talking about, like if you put a body in middle of or in down by the equator, would it deteriorate faster than a body that's in the North Pole? Absolutely. but we aren't talking about that type of deterioration. We're talking about evidentiary deterioration. And based on what I was researching, it actually said that cold is more invasive to evidentiary um, bodily evidence, whatever, than heat is.
Okay, but they were asking about the bodies.
Right.
And
I got you.
yes, I
Yeah.
heat absolutely does accelerate
Yeah,
decomposition.
that's what I just agreed with you on that.
Okay, but it kinda sounded like you were disagreeing, it was confusing.
Well, I gave an example that if you put a body close to the equator, it would decomp
Well, you
way
said
faster than a body up at the
yeah, but
North
you
Pole.
said it doesn't accelerate,
Yeah, because
but it does.
yes, but we're talking about evidence right now.
I know, but they asked a specific
Yeah.
question.
I was just clarifying because I didn't know in what regard they were asking that question because they really wanted to know how fast the bodies were deteriorating or how fast the evidence was deteriorating.
Mm.
So,
Yeah, I would be curious to see, studies they've done on evidence like DNA and stuff like that, to see which conditions were worse. Which ones preserved it the best, like high humidity, low humidity.
we talked about that in there. All of it's bad is what she says. She says all of it's bad, but the cold and humidity is worse. Has a shorter time for I forget the word she used. She used a certain word that was like bodily fluids or trace evidence. When it gets to a point where it can't be used anymore, cold impacts that worse.
Hmm, that's weird.
I mean, yeah, I guess it's weird. Just think of like stuff in your freezer. It goes if it's not in a bag and airtight, like, dude, it gets gross quick. It changes color, like what it does to the cells, because that's where decomp starts, right? It starts cellular and moves outward. And that's gross. Yeah, freezer burn. Yuck. But any of it's bad. Any of it is. Anything heat, too hot, it's the extremes that are bad.
For evidence, yeah.
Yep. The best scenario based on that expert, and that expert was like 1 in 4 in the entire world, um, said that the best thing you could do is stop any air movement and don't get any of the outside air into the crime scene. So essentially lock it down. What they should have done is closed all the doors, turned off the AC or heater, and locked it down in that way. But I can look up that time of death information. I just don't know what could impact that and how much it impacts it. If it gets to a point where it's going to be like I would assume if you're an expert, right, then you should be able to then uh figure out what the time of death is based on those exterior factors, like the cold, like the heat, like anything included into that um problem.
Mhm. The way they figure these things out is horrific.
Yeah, I know.
It's terrifying, actually.
Yeah.
But you can donate your body to have them do it to you.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure they do with putting bodies in a freezer. But the difference is exposure. I don't think they put a body straight up in the freezer without anything covering it. What? I think that is On point.
I don't think they're straight up frozen, though. It's more like a cooler than a freezer.
I don't know.
They're kept between 14 degrees Fahrenheit and 58.
Yeah,
Oh, no. That's
and -50.
wait.
Yeah, so they're frozen. Yep.
So decomposition is significantly reduced but not prevented. But at a morgue, when they do autopsies, I don't think so. I think that was talking about sciencey things.
Yeah, and they literally kept the doors open the whole time, you guys. The entire time. Look at that. Nobody's even going in and out. Yeah, you're right, as one. That's exactly it. The fact that they had these doors open the entire day shows that that they were not helping their crime scene. They were contaminating the crime scene from the second they got on scene, you guys. From the second they got on scene. And let me see here. I actually pulled up a picture because we can see on some of the hang on. So that right there is contamination, my friends. Look at that.
Hmm. What is that?
She put it on backwards.
Huh?
She put it on backwards. You're supposed to put your booties on and then your gloves. Gloves are always the last thing you put on. I think this is the same lady that has that one video that hang on. Somebody sent it to us. Give me a second here. Oh, okay, yeah, it's right here. It is that same lady. This lady, dude, she needs to get it figured out, man. Because what should have happened is these booties should have been put on and then the gloves. While she's putting on these booties, you're at risk of touching your own shoes. Mega contamination. Watch your hands. Touch the ground.
Are they like packing up to leave though?
I don't know. I'm assuming that's evidence. Touching her pockets. She is even missing a finger.
In her glove?
Yeah. And these are crime packs. I wish we could have a closer look to see what's in it. She even touches her face, you guys. And I always want to be careful because this can come off as nitpicking. But if there's one place that I feel like nitpicking should happen is in the crime scene when it comes down to your science.
I don't know. I feel like the context matters a little bit.
What?
Like if they were packing up to leave or not.
They were opening their crime packs.
Yeah, so
Those were like that was like, what do you mean?
so you think they were going to collect evidence right after that?
Does it matter? That crime pack will collect evidence eventually. So if they were walking in the house with that, that's contaminated. If they're going to another crime scene, that's contaminated. She touched the ground and opened up her pack and were touching what looked like. So I worked in a tattoo shop for a while, and you have these single-use bags for your items that after you put it through the machine of the UV light, the buzzer, whatever, and then through that heat sensitive machine, you rebag them into single use bags and they pull apart. That's what that looks like, is that those bags.
Hmm.
And she just touched the ground and she opened up that pack and started touching it. It's not for sure. I'm just assuming here. I'm assuming based on the tons of evidence that we have.
Oh, CH, so they were just arriving when this happened?
Oh, that's even scarier. I
It-
just hope that she changed them.
Yeah. I don't know how much the crime, like the
This is contamination going in.
the external, bag, how much that specifically matters.
What?
Because they're loading it all into the back of the pack of a truck, like the things inside are what matter. But then she
Yeah.
started opening it and touching it, so
Yeah.
I'm
I'm confused how you
there's
don't see that's a big deal. You know how many
because
times evidence has gotten moved to other if who was it that left a comment? Somebody left a comment about a crime in Germany where this girl passed away, all right? And she 10 years later, 10 years later, they were at a crime scene, and this unsolved homicide had DNA from that crime scene at this new one. And that girl's DNA that's at that new crime scene had been passed away for 10 years. Do you know how?
yeah.
Because of that. That video. Because somebody had touched something in the pack. That pack wasn't used till 10 years later at another crime scene. That got cross-contaminated, and that person's DNA showed up at the crime scene. I don't think people understand, like, we're talking trace DNA. Touching the exterior of the pack potentially has cross-contamination that goes in that pack.
I was just saying that because when we watched the Idaho State Forensic Labs DNA thing where they show how to do a DNA swab,
Yeah.
they didn't put on gloves until after they opened the pack.
I know.
And that was their standard procedure.
We watched that.
That was their standard procedure because the gloves were included inside the pack.
Well, yeah.
So they
For
didn't.
that pack, for a suspect, not a crime scene, though. That's going to be completely different. That's a single-use DNA test kit.
Okay.
Yeah. That's way different than like this. And look, here is that lady again. This is a big deal, you guys, right here. That's massive. Your gloves go on last, always. 100% always. Gloves go on last. And yeah, Mikey, always coming in hot.
Yes, thank you so much. We watched the chick that sneezed in the house.
I know. I've seen that. That's why I'm confused, because like when we're looking at this, you don't seem concerned. And this is like, if people want to understand how somebody's DNA that wasn't at the crime scene could have been in the crime scene and could have been on a knife sheath, this is literally it. That's all it takes is this right here. That's it. That is cross-contamination. All she has to do is put on her footies before her gloves. Or I mean her gloves before her footies. That's it. Then she goes into a room and touches something, and some trace evidence that was on the bottom of her shoe went from her glove to the crime scene.
Yeah, I wasn't saying I wasn't concerned. I was just talking about the back of the truck. I felt like it mattered what was going on there, is all I was saying. Like playing devil's advocate. Like what is actually happening there? 'Cause I
It
don't
looks
know,
like they're getting the
'cause
packs ready
because
to me.
I hadn't seen the whole video. I only see that little clip.
Yeah, to me, it looks like they're pulling their packs out and getting them ready to be taken in.
Yeah, you're right. It does look like that. I know Siege said that was what was happening, and
Because
he was gonna find the full video.
otherwise, they would not be unzipping the pack and opening it to prep. They would be zipping the pack and pushing it in the truck.
Yeah.
So it just the fact, like we saw her grab the ground, you guys, and then open the pack and touch things in that pack.
Yeah.
We saw her touch her own pockets. She grabbed something in her pocket. She touched her face and then touched items in that pack. If people want to try to draw connections of how Kohberger's DNA could have gotten on scene, that's how. All that lady has to do is touch a sheath, the exterior of the bag. Like, dude, science does not play. It is not forgiving. It does not give you any leeway. Right there, like this picture, I know I keep saying it, but like that's enough.
I see what you're saying, but with the yeah, I mean, that's pretty bad. That is pretty bad, but with the
On the
packs,
bottom of shoes?
the my
Oh,
only my only question is, well, no, I guess it doesn't make sense. Never mind. Never mind. It
I
doesn't
can't
make
come up
sense.
with anything to play devil's advocate, but it also could be because I worked in a tattoo shop and I know how a lot of these things work from working in a tattoo shop. And health department on tattoo shops are jerks, man. They hate tattoo artists. They hate tattoo shops. They
Well,
try and find reasons to shut you down. You have to be on top of it. Have multiple gloves that were taken out of the pack while your hands were gloved. You got to only put your machine together when it's gloved, only take it apart while you're gloved. You're not allowed to touch anything except for other plastic sheeting that was laid out while you were gloved. Like, you know,
I was also thinking about, because I have a lot of family in, medicine. But no, I think like I would compare this to surgery, okay? Do you want your doctor using contaminated gloves while opening the instruments they're about to use to cut you open? Do you even want that risk there?
no.
No. No, you don't. You want them to have on clean gloves, you want them to be fully prepped and everything. Um
I expect perfection. And do you know why? Because somebody's life's on the line in surgery. Okay. Somebody's life is on the line in this case. And maybe even more somebody's. Let's just go down the rabbit hole of and it's not a rabbit hole. It could totally be possible. But let's go down the idea and let's chew on the fact that if Bryan Kohberger is innocent here, it's not only Bryan Kohberger's life at stake, you guys. Whoever is the true suspect could put a whole bunch of other people's lives at stake if we don't have real justice here. By getting this wrong, by allowing cross-contamination, by allowing a contaminated crime scene, by convicting on a contaminated crime scene, we could be putting a whole bunch of other people at risk of dying.
yeah, we
You
are.
know?
Absolutely.
I agree with you. What's to say Bryan didn't handle the lab stuff? I don't think that's likely, But I agree and understand it. You just remember he was from Washington, and the crime scene, the main crime scene people who worked this was ISP, and it was sent to the Idaho State lab in Coeur d'Alene. All right, so let's move on to a different topic. So these pictures were taken on the 18th, from my understanding,
Okay.
which is what? How many days? 5 days? 5 days after the crime?
hmm
Why are they just now working the exterior of the house 5 days after the crime?
This was the first time they were outside.
This was, the yeah. Yeah, this is the outside of the house.
Okay.
This is the outside of the house, and this was done on the 18th, and I would expect to see this on the 13th. So I'm just trying to figure out and understand why. Why were they only working the exterior of the house on the 13th or on the 18th? After we just learned, like, the outside air, just the air, contaminates any evidence worse than anything.
So it should have been done pretty quickly.
It should have been done the same day. They should have had lights out there, lit up the whole housing lot, and been going through every inch, in my opinion.
CH said this shows the glove incident. It took them 9 days to expand the crime scene to go to the back parking lot, 6 days to get tracks from the car out front. Phew. That's pretty slow, Mikey. Man. Hey, AR. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. Talking quietly tonight, so I don't sound like a teenage boy going through puberty.
The Inquisitor, um, uh, are see, you're on Discord, right? Can you send that on Discord? Because it's pulling up like a whole bunch. And hey, what's up, AR? Hello, hello.
Oh, my Discord's updating. Man.
Yeah, I searched by it's not pulling up that specific video though. It's pulling up like
Type in
drone,
the Inquisitor.
homeware.
It is drone footage.
Yeah, but oh, okay. Okay, actually I think I got it now. Okay, hold on. Is this it?
Oh, I hope you feel better soon too, AR. It's going around. Everybody's getting sick. And thank you, by the way.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And did AR say he was not feeling well?
He's sick too.
Yeah, I feel like everyone's getting sick all at once. Okay, so this is it. This is the entire footage. of that, the cross contamination. Okay. Oh, look, they're just pulling up. That is now what can you say? That's scary stuff, man. And it makes me wonder, 113 pieces of
If she
physical evidence, man.
if she had just pulled up, why does she have a finger missing out of her glove?
I mean,
What,
she's touching the ground
they're just
and
wearing
putting her fingers in her pockets.
they're just wearing gloves rolling up to the crime scene, or like, how long was she wearing those gloves?
So, have you so I'm assuming the gloves they
I've
use.
worn gloves.
Yeah, I know, but there's a very specific type of glove that you wear for tattooing. You can't use the powdered gloves
I
because it
know.
can cause
You wear
allergic
nitrile.
reactions. So it has to be this very specific type that has no powder on the inside or outside, because on the inside of the glove, that powder also comes out and causes people's allergies or whatever. But when you go to put them on, they rip all the time. All the time.
Literally, like, all doctors' offices and tattoo shops use the same gloves now. They're the
No.
nitrile gloves. Yeah.
Doctor's office can use powdered gloves
Yeah, but they
because
almost none of them do anymore.
because
Like, none of
they're
them.
the
Because they're the most allergen safe now. Like, they know that latex allergies are, like, a big thing. So it's pretty rare you see those latex powder gloves anymore.
I mean, I see them all the time with work.
Oh, she literally just put those gloves on,
Yeah,
dropped a glove and threw it away.
bro. Oh man.
Yeah, that lady stepped on it.
Once you pick it up, you don't, and in the pocket. Watch. Okay, let me go back here. So she just threw that glove in there and touched the bag. Okay, so touch the bag again on both gloves. Now both hands have touched. Wait. So cross contamination. She touches the ground. She picks up the glove. She touches the bag. She touches her pocket. Now, with contaminated gloves, she puts her hand in the glove box
Yeah, with all the other gloves.
with all the other gloves.
I saw that.
So, technically, every glove in that box is contaminated.
Yeah.
A tattoo shop would get shut down for something like that. You can't pick nothing up off the floor. Not
No.
happening.
No, for sure. You're right.
And she touch that bag. Now the other lady's touching the bag. Her hands in her pockets again, bro. What is going on?
I just wanna see what they do next.
No, they are not using new gloves. And these are these are the testing packs. It looks like that might be electrical equipment in there. That might be a camera. Remember, the lady to the right's gloves are contaminated too. And they're about to. What did she just have in her hand? Was she just pointing? That other lady?
Yeah, it looked like a pen, maybe?
Okay, let me see. So,
They just pulled up
okay.
they just pulled up Tennessee, like, they literally just drove up in the truck, the drone showed it. So they hadn't been in the crime scene yet.
Yeah. Contamination is so much easier than a lot of people think, man. Okay, so camera. She's going to be the picture taker. So, hopefully I can only hope, you guys, and without body cam footage of her own, which I think she should be wearing some. If you're doing anything for police work, I think you should be doing body cam footage, but maybe she's the one taking the pictures and the other one is doing the testing. I don't know. I can only hope. That's hoping, that's on my wish list.
I just want to see if they change their gloves before they go on the crime scene.
Dude,
But if all the other gloves are contaminated, then
they contaminated the entire box of gloves. Again, this goes back to 113 pieces of evidence. Physical pieces of evidence. After seeing this, I'm even more likely to believe that the reason why they only have 113 pieces of evidence is because they botched the crime scene. I think that they know they botched the crime scene, so they have to lean on other aspects of the investigation.
yeah, hopefully she's just taking pictures, right?
And look, some of that crime scene botching is nothing they could have controlled. Like the kids going in before they got there. If that all happened like that, right? There is nothing police could have done in that situation and in that
No.
storyline. But if any evidence from on scene is used, anything at all, and they had a hand in it, that footage right there should be enough for the defense to say, whatever they've touched, toast, dude, gone. And I wish the FBI was leading this crime scene. I wish it were the case, man. The only time we saw full bodies, suits in the crime scene with faces covered, hair pulled back, and the bodysuits on were when they were using the spray for the latent footprint. Yeah, this is an awesome video. I appreciate you sending this.
Those blinds just open.
Yeah, I don't doubt it, Mikey, that some people blocked you for that. But look, the fact of the matter is, if we're looking at this case objectively, we have to be able to look at all the evidence. And looking at this evidence doesn't mean Bryan Kohberger is innocent, and it doesn't mean Bryan Kohberger is guilty. It doesn't mean either of those things. What it means is that we have a messed up crime scene investigator here. A messed up crime scene investigator here.
I just wanted to see what date this was posted. It was posted November 19th. Don't know if this was the day it was
Do
taken.
you see any numbers in the back to see if maybe they laid out the numbers in the back? No, that was on the 18th. That other, okay.
But look, the crime scene tape is literally only around the house, isn't it?
No, it's right here to let the
Oh.
cars in.
Okay.
To let the cars in. And one of the pieces of evidence I had too is there's a couple pictures out there, and they're actually kind of hard to find. But the two cops that were on scene initially, they pulled all the way up in this driveway, which I'm surprised about. I'm surprised that they pulled up all the way.
It does go in the back.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, so we'll see it here in a minute.
Because if you got called that something's going on here, something's wrong here, and you know something's wrong, then why would you taint the evidence that could be footprints or anything else? you know?
Yeah. I'm really curious if they had put those numbers down in the backyard yet.
Yeah, that sucks that people have gotten blocked. Our rule is just no bullying and be respectful. We should be able, as fellow human beings together, be able to share our opinions without being put down for it. Even if you're on here and I don't agree with you, I'm not going to put you down because you have a different idea. That's ridiculous.
Oh,
Absolutely ridiculous.
I didn't tell you, no hate towards this creator because I like Chris McDonough from the interview room. I've enjoyed a lot of his work. But the other day on stream, when he had on the lawyer from the Gilgo case, John Ray, uh, his audience was telling him, echo. There's an echo, and there was, and it was bad. Like the whole video is echoing, and it's really bad. And the chat is saying echo, echo, echo. And he's like, moderators, I don't know what's going on, but you need to ban all of these trolls. And it's like all of his audience. And they keep going the whole show, and he's like mad about it.
He probably
And
just doesn't understand.
I know, and I saw people in the comments after, like, ripping him apart, and I'm like, I just don't I think he's just an older man, he's
He doesn't
retired.
understand
He's
technology.
retired, and he just didn't get it.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, I felt kinda bad, but at the same time, like, it was kinda crappy not to like, just ask a couple more questions, like,
Yeah.
"What's going on here?"
Yeah. Yeah, we haven't got to a point where we need mods yet. The goal is to have mods, you guys, but we want to do it
We want
very systematic and
Yeah.
pay mods a percentage of the overall income of the podcast, and that way they promote it and do everything themselves too to get it heard and out there. So once we get to that point, we'll do it.
I don't see any markers in the backyard. Do you?
I don't. No. I know
Unless
that there's a
that
marker
is.
right behind that.
Well, then there's markers.
Huh?
Well, then there's markers.
No, I'm saying there is one in that picture. So I know there should be one there if there's markers there yet. And I can't see any. Whoa.
No, not Duty Ron. Oh, I don't know if you're talking to me, actually. Yeah, Paw Patrol, you were about to get eradicated. All of your people.
Yeah, I appreciate that, AR. Good looking out.
Yeah, thank
I
you.
think yeah, that's awesome and super nice. I think we're just gonna do like a percentage across the board, just so that it functions like a company and a business. But we'll keep that in mind for sure. Something could come up. Did you see any on the right? No,
Oh, man, go back because I wasn't paying attention. I was looking inside the house.
I don't see any markers.
I don't either.
You would be able to see a yellow marker there.
I don't know. Would you?
I think so. We could always download this and I could warm it up, like make it super warm. They would be able to stand.
Man,
No,
I need
I
to
don't see 'em.
buy a drone. Just having a drone like this on hand must be so nice for camera footage of anything.
I have a
Just like
drone.
landscape shots,
Yeah.
some nice scenic views in the fall. Like, I don't know anything.
I have a drone that carries people.
What?
A drone that carries people.
Yeah, I know I've seen this video before, Anne. I know I have.
I haven't.
I'm pretty sure I showed it to you, Brendan.
Probably. I can't remember if I've seen it. Let me clarify.
You have 6 drones, J. Ray?
If there's some kind of setup like what you're talking about, unit, I don't think there was some kind of meeting to set up some kind of frame job. I don't think it was I don't think it was intentionally thought out. I think that if there is any evidence that comes to light that there's any sort of frame, that it just happened to come together from working the case backwards.
Yeah, and this is why we wanna do it that way, just as, that there's a lot of issues with mods sometimes, especially when you're just getting started out.
Yeah.
And we wanna,
To be fair
it to be
across the
fair.
board and
You feel like your time is valued,
Yeah.
you're invested, and also make sure that the people who are moderating, like, want this chat to be as inclusive and fun, to be in as we do,
Yeah.
you know?
Mhm.
We don't want any drama, like, with moderators or anything like that.
Paying someone creates buy-in. It is also beneficial for a business model. You get to do certain things around finances and things like that when you do that. So I've wondered what that is over there. Do you guys know what that is?
What? Where?
Over here. I've seen it in multiple pictures. Does anyone know what this is right here?
Kinda reminds me of, like, a grill cover.
A grill?
Or a bean
Oh, a grill.
that's
Like
covered in snow.
okay,
Yeah, like a little
that's,
mini
like,
one.
set down?
Yeah, and it's got a cover on it, and it's got,
Yeah.
snow on it. Or a beanbag chair.
Oh, it's a dog bed. Okay.
Oh, okay. It looks kinda small for Murphy, though, no?
I mean, no, I think that could be, like
AR Hayes said, "Okay, sold. Pay me."
yeah. We gotta get to full-time first. Once we get to full-time, then, we can start talking about it. But I feel like we have a little bit further to go than single creators because we have 2 people here, that have to supplement income. But, the reason why I was so curious about up here is because in the video of my commission of the crime, um, I would've came from up here. That's where I woulda came from. I would've entered through this right here, this wall. I woulda grabbed 2 of these posts, probably, like, right here, and then shimmied up. And then that would have been where I got ready, right here. In that darker area.
You know what? I didn't even realize that in our thumbnail, that lady you're talking about that, was cross-contaminating or
Yeah.
whatever, she's in the thumbnail right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Man, you put filters on us. You changed
No, I didn't.
Did too.
I didn't. I did on that one.
No, on both of them, the faces are
I really didn't.
dulled out. There's no color.
This is really good footage, though.
It is good footage.
Yeah, and these pipes where that steam was coming out, someone correct me here. I know someone will know, but they're colored for a reason. I think that the black pipes are plumbing, right? Plumbing would know. It is black for plumbing.
Plumbing?
I think. I think that plumbing still has to have a it has to have air to be able to drain to.
And exactly, Tennessee. And, we love you, girl. Love your input.
Yeah.
Always. That's exactly right. What did Jeff say? See the lever showing if it's locked or unlocked.
I I think that it's semi or people believe that the lower sliding glass door doesn't lock because of this. So where are we at? We're at 13. Okay, hang on. Because of these, I
Well,
think that is evidence that we aren't hearing from a statement, right? Because talk is cheap. That this door doesn't lock. I think if this door locked, this wouldn't be there. I also think if this door locked, I don't know if they would have the confirmation tape on there.
Jared said, yeah, one's gas, one's water. Plumbing said vents. CH said plumbing vents.
Okay.
Black for sewage waste, maybe.
Okay. Yeah.
Black is
I
probably the
thought black
plumbing.
was for plumbing.
Black is plumbing, silver is air.
Okay.
Bro, they took the door handle.
Isn't
What?
that the handle right here?
Yeah, it kind of looks like the handle, J. Ray.
But did they take this, I wonder?
Oh, that part of it?
Maybe. You know what's interesting? So, have you guys seen oh, you know what? I can find it real quick. Hang on, give me 1 second. I've always wondered this, and I haven't brought it up. Give me 1 sec here.
What?
Okay, so if that door doesn't lock, this is pointless though. All right, completely pointless. But I always wondered from this picture when everyone was focused on like the food delivery and the food bag or whatever, is this looks like it could have happened from someone coming in that window because it's knocked over this way.
Yeah.
So what could have happened is a foot. You know what I mean? A foot came across that and pulled it down. And the reason why I was wondering that is because if you're planning to do this crime, right, you need to make sure that you're able to get in. In order to make sure that you're able to get in, you have to get in the house somehow and then unlock a window, unlock a door. If the upstairs room with the slider doesn't have anyone living in it, then you could unlock that and then go out that bottom door. But
I know Jeff said yesterday he believed that was from investigators.
this,
But I don't know where we've seen any confirmation saying why that plant was spilled.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I have a friend who's
Either
seen photos from Derek Shook, Fox News Digital. My friend said it was police that bumped the plant, causing the dirt.
it could be. It just made me wonder is all. I don't think that I think that whoever did this crime had been in this house before. I think that it would be I feel like whether you think he's guilty or whether you think he's innocent, most people believe that this was planned out, this was intentional, and there was some kind of plan to it. So, in order to be able to do it in this amount of time, he did not randomly break into this house. So, that is impossible. Literally impossible. In the time frame of mainstream media, he did not randomly pick a house, randomly break in, and randomly do this crime. Impossible, whether you think he's guilty or whether you think he's innocent. Therefore, there's some level of planning there. So even if you think he's guilty, if Kohberger's the guy, then he had to have gone in this house before, previously, at some time to guarantee a way in. Now, here's an example, okay? So if I wanted to rob a place, if I wanted to rob a business, all right, what I would do is I would go in the business during business hours and unlock windows in bathrooms and key areas where I think closers would miss them, like people who are closing the business. Then I would come back at a time when no one is there, or in this case, when everyone's asleep, and enter in those unlocked areas. I think that whoever did this, whether it's Kohberger, whether it's not Kohberger, someone entered in here and created a way for them to have a guaranteed entrance point. So in this situation, let's say nobody's home, all the cars are gone, and I'm setting up this crime. Then you just need to check all the windows, right? You need to nonchalantly check all the windows. If someone comes by and they're like, "What are you doing, dude?" "Oh man, they aren't home and I left my ID inside," or whatever. You know what I mean? So you enter in there and you pick like 3 areas where you're going to leave it unlocked to re-enter at a later point.
Yeah, or someone with the code.
The front door code.
Yeah.
That front door is so sketchy though. So
What do you mean?
I I've never been military. I've never been police. Uh I I've never been anything like that. Any job, anything I've been a part of that had anything weird to do like this wasn't training to be conducted in a repetitive fashion like military and police, okay? Um
Hmm.
and so when I'm thinking about this crime, my last choice would be the front door
Just because of eyes on you?
because of eyes on you, because that's where people expect to have someone come in. That is burned into our brains that when people come into your home, they come in the front door or one of the doors. They don't come in the third floor door. And one benefit of entering a location like that is doing something unexpected, catching people on their toes. So even if they did hear you, their automatic thought isn't to go check the third story slider. If they heard something and they were like, "What, is someone in here?" They wouldn't run up to the third floor slider. They would check the other doors first, therefore giving you an advantage.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a really good point. Um, do you think a magnet could pull a lever down on a sliding glass door?
No.
No.
Mm-mm. No. There's ways to get indoors, you guys. I can enter any door. It doesn't matter what it is. I can get in. I mean, any door, any swinging door, not glass slider. Glass sliders are different. Glass sliders are actually more secure
What?
if you're not going to break it.
Jeff, there is a code pad on the front door, though. We saw pictures of it, right?
Mhm.
There is one.
Yeah, all it takes to get in a door, I don't even know if I should
No, you shouldn't.
be saying.
No, just stop. Don't say
It's
it.
not what you would think. And you know those locks too? I can get indoors with those slider locks and the flap locks.
I don't know why you even said that.
so that people get a dog? I want people to be safe. So if someone can get in there, then lots of people can get in.
Yeah, that's true.
There's a
So
reason
you should
why
just have a
cameras.
door full of locks, windows full of locks,
Mhm.
literally around the frame of the
No,
window.
you shouldn't. You should have a dog and local network cameras, meaning like they're not dependent on your Wi-Fi, and hidden cameras because everyone cases. Nobody just does a crime at random unless they have some kind of psychotic break. So normally you can tell when, something's coming. Just lock yourself in. Yeah. Just a dog, man. Dogs are good for mental health, they're good for safety, they're good for a lot of things. Oh, look at all those popos.
How high do you think the kitchen window?
Yeah,
Like, how easy do you think it would be for you to crawl up in there? How high is that?
easy.
How high is
Piece of
that?
cake. If I had to guess, I would say 4.5 feet.
Off the ground?
Yeah, I think that's 4.5 feet. From here to here, I think it's 4.5 feet.
Hmm. Okay then.
Yeah. Yeah. That do hidden cameras. You do cameras that you can see on entrances to combat like crazies that are just trying to like enter your house to see if it's unlocked. And then you do hidden cameras on the sides.
Why is that pole painted red right there?
I don't know. You know that tree right here drops red berries that stains the ground red?
Nuh-uh.
Yeah. So if you're like a CSI, a crime scene investigator, it would good luck trying to find BLO.
Yeah. They're all painted red? Hmm. Weird. I was just curious why.
Men's work boots, yeah. Special order like size 20. Yeah, those berries are a pain, man. I'm sure people pointed out this too, right? The screen. I wonder why the screen's knocked out. If that was investigators or what.
I was curious
Thi
about that.
this screen lifts. I bet you anything. I can't know without being there, but I bet you this screen lifts up. I agree, unit. 113 pieces feels wrong. Whoa, that thing's got some lift on it, man.
Yeah, the drone?
Yeah,
I know.
jeez.
It was helpful for me when I first saw this, understanding the layout of those apartments in front. and off to the side.
Hey, just Debbie, just subbed. Welcome. Super stoked that you're here.
What the heck?
I forgot to post that earlier, you guys. If you're on Reddit, join us, hit us up on Reddit, and make sure you add or join the sub Reddit of Bryan Kohberger Moscow. Yeah, this is really good footage. I'm really glad you sent that over. Does anything else catch? No. Interesting. Interesting. So, going back to the evidence, I mean, you guys, I think there's so much, so many different reasons why there could only be 113 pieces of evidence. So
Yeah.
many.
There are.
It just comes down to the fact of who's the reason. Is law enforcement the reason? Or is Bryan Kohberger or whoever the suspect is the reason? Yeah, here. Did I not show that picture of the markers in the back? Hang on, guys. I'll show you what I'm talking about. I know that this was done on the 18th. This was on the 18th. And what's interesting is they're wearing booties back here. That's another one of the key things that I was pointing out, that they're wearing booties back here after the entire day and the next day. Law enforcement investigators were walking all over here with no masks, no booties, no nothing. Trampling and all over the crime scene, the exterior parts of the crime scene. And I think exterior would be able to tell a lot. That's where you're going to get shoe prints in the ground. Maybe it was pretty cold, so the ground could be frozen. But if you're going to get it from somewhere, right? If they walk through, like, look at all these leaves, right? One of the benefits to fall is there's a bunch of leaves and grass and all kinds of stuff on the ground. Somebody that's probably competent enough to know what that looks like could target the footprints, don't you think?
Yeah.
I
For
wouldn't be
sure.
able to do that, but I'm sure someone could.
I appreciate you searching for us, CH. But
Yeah, thank you.
yeah, I'm so curious. I don't see a cigarette butt there. I don't see anything there. I'm curious what they're looking at there. And that's that lady that had the camera that dropped the glove. Is she
I
taking
think
pictures of it?
maybe
It is. She has the same haircut and
this
color
one,
of hair.
right?
No,
This?
that's the one that dropped the
Okay.
glove. It's the hair. I know the hair.
Okay.
She had that undershave, and on the side, she has like that little design shape.
Yeah. Yeah, Bobby, I think that you're right. We always just bring up this topic carefully because the roommates that are still alive are a soft topic for some, and for others they're not. But yeah, whether intentional or unintentional, if you're on the side that you believe Bryan Kohberger's guilty, or if you're on the side that you believe he's innocent, they absolutely could be the reason that the crime scene's contaminated. 100%. Because there were kids in there. We know this part for a fact based on Fry's statement around some of the other individuals in the area and Hunter, both hunters, there were other kids in the house before law enforcement. So yeah, I think that Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funk could absolutely be the reason for a contamination. However, I don't think the police helped it any. I think that we've seen multiple pictures through tonight and the video that we just posted that show that there were a lot of mistakes. And one reason why I wanted to point out those glove management behaviors where we saw her put on her gloves and then her booties, massive, major, huge no is because that's a behavioral practice that's repetitive. So if we catch her doing it once, I would place my bet on her doing it again. And then how many more times was it done?
Yeah, if not every time.
If not every time.
Her name is Cross Contamination Clara.
Right.
That's super funny.
And she's touching her face like after working in a tattoo parlor before, multiple, like heavily invested in it. These behavioral trait or these what am I thinking? The word I'm thinking.
I don't know. I'm not on the ball tonight with thinking of your words.
These practices, okay, these
procedures,
these best practices,
okay,
with glove and cross contamination are hardwired into you. You do them so much, you do it without thinking. You can have a full-on in-depth conversation and be doing them the right way. But she doesn't. She does not.
I saw a question here that I thought was interesting because I never heard this. Wasn't there something at the beginning about a map of the house layout found on the ground?
Whoa, that would be interesting. I've never heard that, but you got to remember, guys, that we've only been doing this for like 4 or 5 months. We weren't creating content when this case was first out, so we're catching up. But that would be wild.
That would be crazy. J Ray said no. CH said no.
Let me see if there's any other
Lulu
good
Love said no.
Pictures.
That is a click on that one.
This one?
That's a big one. That people talk about because they believe there's a BLO, as you put it, running down those cabinets back there.
Here?
Right there. I know Crime Sleuthin said that she debunked it and proved it was a shadow. Interesting.
I mean, I think this one is a big deal because of how much evidence is on here. Like, I've never in my life heard of an investigation where you have multiple people, multiple homicides, and every single one of those food sources are not tested for DNA. I've never heard of that. What should have happened?
Yeah, you're right.
What should have happened is just to verify this should have been tested and confirmed as one of the victims. This should have been tested and confirmed as one of the victims. This should have been tested right here and confirmed as one of the victims. This should have been tested and confirmed as one of the victims. This too. Like, all of these things should have been confirmed and tested as one of the victims. And if it's not, if it's somebody else's DNA and you find out whose DNA it is, then you pull them in for questioning and say, hey, why were you at the house? What time were you? What was the last time you were at the house? What were you doing at the house? Did you eat or drink anything at the house? About what time was that? Do you have any evidence that it was during this time? Do you have any pictures of you eating or drinking during this time? Like, that's proper casework. And that none of this was collected. None of it. I don't understand.
So wait, is that the DoorDash order and the drink that are on the sink? And the soap?
On the other,
Yeah, look.
hang on, I have that picture pulled up somewhere. Just hang on.
You just had both of them.
I did?
Yeah, the
Not
DoorDash
here
order.
though. This.
Look, the drink, the soap, the DoorDash order.
Yep.
And then go back.
Drink, soap, DoorDash. So look at, you can see the soap is right here.
The drink, the DoorDash order, the soap.
Oh yeah. Is that the soap right there?
Yeah.
What? Why was it moved?
Do you see the plant anywhere? That is weird.
Is
I don't
this the
see
plant?
I don't. Oh, is that the plant? Okay, go back to the other one real quick. Is it a white? It is the plant.
Oh. And didn't collect it? I hope it got moved because they were testing these things one at
Yeah.
a time.
But which one was it? What was its starting point? Did it originate at the sink or originate at the table?
I mean, I think it originated at the sink because of the dirt that's next to it.
What?
The plant dirt.
Why does that have to mean that though?
I mean, I guess it doesn't, but it
Tara said the table was empty. So I with the soap in the plant, it actually makes more sense to me that it was moved from the window to the table. Yeah.
Yep.
That's what just makes sense to me. But
Yeah.
whoa, what was that picture? Oh, okay. It looked creepy at first.
Yeah. And I think it was CH, right? That sent me the evidence of FBI officers that were involved in this. I'm gonna watch that soon. I apologize for not being. I haven't watched any content in the past week, you guys. I haven't felt very good. But I think there is so much evidence here. So much. And I'm sure there are content creators out there, you guys, that have probably touched on a lot of this before. I don't know. But this is evident. This is real evidence, real picture evidence that this crime scene was not being managed correctly. The doors were open multiple hours, all the way open. There were 2 different windows that were open multiple hours. We have evidence and proof that the moisture from the outside in the air can deteriorate and contaminate a crime scene. Mistakes. We have evidence that, bigger is better. Well, they started smaller. They wrapped the tape around the house and then later expanded it, meaning more than likely everything from the inner layer to that outer layer is potentially contaminated. We have multiple cross-contamination errors and issues when it comes to the gloves that we just watched. Major issues there. Multiple pieces of drinkware, cups, food that in almost every other investigation, and we've even covered cases where people were caught and or questioned and let go and all kinds of stuff because they used a cup at one of their crime scenes, because they used a fork, a knife, a plate. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So one other thing is, do you think they should be driving up in the driveway like that?
No. I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I don't think that they should be doing that. you don't know who drove in that driveway, and there's tire tracks. You don't know who walked through that driveway, and
Footprints.
there's footprints or, a blood trail or anything like that. So I think that them driving up into that driveway was more contamination of the crime scene.
I agree 100%.
And you're right, TC, cop cars are all over that parking lot and were the whole time from the beginning.
Yeah. Yep. I completely agree. And that's something I forgot to post, you guys. So we do have a couple memberships only videos out there with more on the way. If you want to become a member, that's awesome. That's amazing. Some of the content that we made members only is where we're talking specifically and directly about other content creators' content, because we don't want to take their views from them. Or content that YouTube doesn't necessarily promote within their algorithm. So that's on there. And if everybody knows that YouTube is so unreliable when it comes to notifications. And one way around the notifications, you guys, is Patreon. And on Patreon, we do have a free tier. We are not trying to squeeze anybody for money, but we're open about our goals. Our goals are to go full time, and anything that you help or support financially, we appreciate that, but we're not going to treat you any different either way. If you want to help us and support us get to full time, which means more content for you and more live streams, even better quality content, having more time to invest in it, we appreciate you and you're amazing. If that's not something you can do, don't sweat it. You're still all Thought Riot Podcast. You are Thought Riot Podcast, and that doesn't change whether you can afford to help support or not. So if you would like to join on there to have that additional content and get notifications and alerts, by all means, please do. We appreciate you. Now, Patreon and Discord are the for sure's notifications. YouTube is unreliable, but Discord and Patreon are the reliable ones. Now, there's a lot of talk out there that Discord is like a scam to get money. It's not. You don't get charged nothing in Discord. Nothing in
No,
Discord.
totally free.
Yeah. And Tommy, absolutely. And if no one's in that position to help, get it. Completely understand it.
No, just being here, commenting, liking, that's enough help.
Yeah, something free that you can do that helps a ton is liking the video, is commenting. That stuff helps so much, you guys, so much. So much. So, if you want to help us out in another way, that's incredible. But if you don't want to do any of it, that's okay too. You can still hang out and be part of Thought Riot Podcast. Yeah, it is absurd. I don't know why there's this idea that content creators that have a Discord are like trying to squeeze money from people. I don't know. I've heard multiple people say it, and I've seen stuff on Twitter and whatnot. But if we can charge people on Discord, I don't know how. I don't even know if that's possible.
Yeah, I don't know how
You know?
either.
No, it's not censored. It's not censored. But we control that, and the rule is on Discord, since we're a true crime focused community, no politics and no bullying. No politics and no bullying. So that is our goal in Discord. But we understand that sometimes true crime and politics overlap. We get it, but we do the best we can to keep it no politics on there.
I love that t-shirt idea, just saying I am Thought Right Podcast.
Oh, yeah, that
Yeah.
is a really good one. Really good one.
Thank you, Unit.
Yeah.
Great suggestion.
that statement we made a while ago, I wanted to get a t-shirt made that had that on the back. What here, let me see if I can find it real quick.
Oh yeah, CH, you're right. There's people who set it up to where you only get access to the Discord if you become a member or a Patreon member, and then you get the invite link.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of people have done that. I have seen that actually. You're right.
Oh, weird.
But we don't do that.
No. No.
We want a community of anyone and everyone, you know?
Yeah. Where is that post that I put? The one where it's the rant about we are all Thought Riot podcast. I don't know.
That's how you get my OnlyFans link. That's funny. You're funny. You're funny, Plumbing. You crack me up.
Yeah.
Your friends, Jeff said, my friend also said the dirt on the counter was tipped over by police. I have a picture of the pot in the window still from November 13th and was tipped over on November 14th. Interesting. All right, Jeff. My friend verified I was wrong. It was definitely from the sink to the table with the items. Well, thank you for clarifying, Jeff. You're the man.
Oh, this is it.
You are fantastic,
okay,
Jeff.
So
we appreciate it.
This is what I was thinking about putting on the back of a t-shirt. Right here. We are a community. We are made up of a collective of thoughts, ideas, opinions, and voices. We are not right. We are not wrong. We are. The people decide our content and our direction. Everyone has a voice and a willing to ear to listen. We are all Thought Riot Podcast.
Well, I wouldn't put on a t-shirt that people decide our content.
Yep. I would take out
the people decide our direction.
Yep.
Everyone has a voice and a willing ear to listen. We are all Thought Riot Podcast. Yeah.
Yep.
Too many words. Yeah, it's the back of a t-shirt though.
No, I wanted it all over the whole thing from like
like a bunch of like lettering, like and a design that looks cool. Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, there will be more simple ones too eventually when we get there.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
You guys really think that's a lot for a t-shirt? I see t-shirts with quotes on it a lot. Disclaimer t-shirt? Yes. That's great though. I like the idea of a disclaimer t-shirt.
Yes. Yeah, because the disclaimer is pretty gnarly. Our disclaimer that Legal put together.
We should add more words. You're right, Plumbing.
Where is our disclaimer? It's probably time to put it back up again.
Put it on a mega pint. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, when lawyers gave the disclaimer, I was like, whoa.
Maybe I just needed to warm up my vocal cords, Marietta. I don't know, because my voice is sounding a little bit better. Isn't that weird? Really weird.
Oh yeah, I think it's been too long since the disclaimer. Oh, there it is. Yeah, disclaimer.
You don't put that at the bottom of every video?
Oh wait, actually I think I do.
I was about to say, I'm surprised you don't.
Yep. The disclaimer and the liability release. But yeah, we appreciate all of you. I don't even know what I posted here, but for those of you, I know that I always need to post this because our Twitter is the only handle that is /Thought Riot Pod. Everything else is /Thought Riot Podcast. So if you want to join the free Patreon for alerts, please do. It's right there, /Thought Riot Podcast. Please join the Twitter. It's probably taken the most time to get moving with /Thought Riot Pod. We also we're on all social media, you guys, literally everything. So there is our Facebook, and another big one is our Reddit. So make sure you join our Reddit. I think I posted it earlier, but
Oh man, an onion and honey, and then what? Eat it?
what? What are you talking about?
Soak an onion and honey and bingo. What, do I eat it?
Eat what?
The onion soaked in honey. But yeah, I've been sitting here sucking on cough drops the whole time, and I wasn't before I got on here, so
Oh, an onion and honey? I don't like honey.
but I've been eating cough drops this whole time. Yeah, Ian told me warm apple cider vinegar. I usually do salt water gargles. Is what I normally do.
All right, everybody. That is it for tonight. I hope you guys walked away from here learning something like I did. A lot of this I had no idea. I only learned because we covered this, like literally every topic we cover. There's only been a few topics where I've entered the conversation or video knowing what it was about and not having to learn something, which I love. The whole point for doing this is to learn with you guys, or investigate and then share. It is an investigate and share community, and you guys are amazing. We are all Thought Riot Podcast. I should say that statement every time.
You're right, Marietta. I do need a cool mist humidifier. And okay, I don't eat the onion. I eat the honey after it's been soaked in the onion. Got it.
So Thought Riot Podcast, we are our community. We are made up of a collective of thoughts, ideas, opinions, and voices. We are not right. We are not wrong. We are. The people decide our direction. Everyone has a voice and a willing ear to listen. We are all Thought Riot Podcast. Bam. Mic drop.
Well, maybe Wednesday we'll get to them emptying the house, because I think that's interesting, CH, to look at the full timeline.
Yeah.
You're right. We
agree.
totally should.
Yep.
But thanks for being here, everybody. Thanks for the input. It was a good stream tonight, despite me feeling like crap and you feeling like crap and me having no voice.
Yeah.
It turned out pretty good.
Yeah. We appreciate all of you. This is Thought Riot Podcast. And remember, we are on every platform, internationally, worldwide, and would love your support, free support. So just a rating and a comment on this show, the True Crime Talk Show, and Thought Riot Podcast, True Crime and Criminal Culture. We're on Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon, every other podcast in between. We've actually ranked top 5 nationally in true crime in 2 different countries already with a ton of views. So you guys helped us do that. So we appreciate you for that. It's not our win. It is our win, and like your guys' win with us. So we appreciate all of you. My name is Brendan.
I am Malia.
And it's hot dog time.